Or am I not on YouTube? I should be on YouTube. Yes. The chat shows up. But it wouldn't let me stream at all if I was banned. But the shorts one is working. Oh, there we go. Okay, should be good. In theory. I'm gonna get a drink. All right, Hallie. It should be good on everything. Okay. All right. Sample told me Destiny made a bad argument in this, but it should be interesting to watch. You taking endorsement from Hitler. Cheney backs Kamala Harris. Let's see. Let's see what Piers Morgan thinks.
The Harris honeymoon is over, and if you don't believe me, ask the New York Times. Its latest poll puts former President Trump a point ahead of his rival for the first time since the great replacement of Joe Biden. And that's despite 50 straight days of a Soviet-style program to rebuild the vice president as a visionary cultural phenomenon and a beacon of joy. Now, there are many possible reasons.
Soviet-style program? Really? Was it really that bad?
For this. One of them may simply be that ordinary Americans are getting fed up with being told the sky is green and the grass is blue. Dick Cheney is a case in point. For the past 2 decades, he's been the bête noire of American progressives, who brand him a racist, warmongering supervillain who only became vice president because the Supreme Court, ironically, stole the 2000 election. But now he's endorsing Harris, and her campaign wants you to know it's because he's saving democracy.
What we do believe in is that the United States should retain its democratic foundations. And it's not just Cheney. I think there is a significant number of Republicans who say, well, you know, I may not agree with the vice president on this issue or that issue, but I cannot support somebody who's a pathological liar, somebody who fomented an insurrection to overthrow the election return. So I applaud the Cheneys for their courage in defending democracy. Obviously, on all the issues, we have very different points of view.
Well, Trump derangement syndrome is now so pervasive that Bernie Sanders, who's slightly to the left of Karl Marx, is now on network television praising Dick Cheney.
He's praising Dick Cheney. Because Dick Cheney, he literally specifically said on all the issues we obviously disagree. Why is he praising Dick Cheney, Piers Morgan? Maybe because Dick Cheney recognizes that Trump tried to fucking insurrection. He tried to overturn the election. Oh,
Press
okay,
double think doesn't stop there. Her
okay.
campaign says she's simultaneously the front runner with all the momentum, but also the clear underdog in tomorrow night's debate, just as she's campaigning as a, quote, new way forward, as well as a current and serving vice president. Just as her values haven't changed, but every single one of her policies seems to, including this proud campaigner celebrating Trump's border wall, which she repeatedly condemned as a medieval vanity project. As some regular commentators on this show have accused me of being pro-Trump. I was often say in response, it's not my job to pick a side or my job to vote. I'm not an American citizen. So I'm not going to tell you how to...
You're not pro. Oh, awesome. They haven't opened Zoom yet. You're not pro-Trump. You just like most people, grade Trump on a pretty big curve.
Vote. But it is my job to call out obvious hypocrisy and manipulation where I see it. And love him or loathe him, and there are, of course, many tens of millions in both camps in America, Trump is, well, Trump. We kind of know what he's like by now. Kamala Harris, though, remains a pretty unknown quantity. And tomorrow night, we'll find out if the American people are buying into her. Well, joining me to debate is the streamer Destiny, Javier DeRusso from Brave Review, host of Emily Saves America, Emily Wilson. And I'd like to welcome Jill Stein, who's campaigning for the third time as the Green Party's candidate for president. Well, welcome to all.
What? Why?
All of you. Let me start with you, Destiny, if I can. The honeymoon was on fire for Kamala Harris. The coronation happened. The DNC convention happened. It was all going swimmingly. And you would have expected the polls to reflect this glorious few weeks.
Well, it did for a while.
Kamala Harris as the joyous, brave new way forward to save America. And yet the latest New York Times poll of likely voters nationally has Trump ahead of Kamala Harris. How can that be?
We still got a lot of work to do. And I mean, the polls are all over the place. This is a historic environment for a political election. Who knows where the polls are going to be a week or two from now. Everything is still changing. Yeah.
How important do you think tomorrow night's debate could be? I mean, the last debate ended the political career of Joe Biden. It precipitated the events that led to him quitting the race. Could this determine tomorrow night, 90 minutes of Trump v. Harris, live in front of the American people and the watching world, could it trigger effectively the end of this race?
I feel like debates aren't really important until they are. Historically, debates haven't seemed to move the needle too much when it comes to favorability or desire to vote for a particular candidate. But I mean, obviously, in the last debate, because people had a perception about Joe Biden that seemed to be true after watching debates, that shifted the needle significantly. So, I mean, it's hard to say. It could be that tomorrow both of them do their thing. Kamala gives her sassy pushback. Trump gives his normal, meandering, stupid, brainless answers, and nobody really cares much about what happens because everything goes as expected. So, or it could be that one of them has a huge, step out moment, that one of them loses their cool, and maybe that moves the needle a lot. It's really hard to say. I think making predictions in this election at this point is pretty much impossible.
Well, on that, I completely agree with you. Javier, you reposted on X, day one of the Black Voters for Trump tour was a massive success. The next time the left tells you MAGA is nothing more than a bunch of old white guys, shows them this picture, the next generation of black America will destroy the Democrat Party. And you said about Kamala Harris in August, a woman who's confident in what she stands for would be able to not only handle but address, overcome the criticism.
Regardless of race, I'm pretty sure the next generation is very much not Republican leaning. But
Kamala Harris doesn't have that same resilience. Not even the left will respect her after about a year, once the honeymoon of electing a black woman wears off. I mean, strong words there, but what is interesting to me is how Trump's support amongst black Americans has been consistently increasing in the last year. And you've seen it being eroded from the Democrats, which is almost unprecedented, really, in modern times. Why do you think that is happening?
Well, it's largely happening because we're tired of being lied to. I mean, for how much longer can we have the Democrats telling us over and over that they're going to do all these great promises for us just to not follow through with anything? I mean, just look at the way back in 2020, Joe Biden went and acted like he was going to be the biggest spokesperson for BLM. Then the second he got into office, he had nothing to do with the black community anymore. We have seen these lies play out time and time again, and it's exhausting. We see the way that our economy is in shambles. We see the way that our border is wide open. We see all these pressing issues that are not being addressed properly by the Democratic Party. And at this point, it's like, what do black men have to lose? Why do we continue to go the same way that is clearly not working for us? Why don't we try something different and get away from the Democratic Party? And that's why more eyes are beginning to open up, because for far too long we were told we weren't even allowed to consider conservative views or conservative policies. We were called coons and Uncle Toms and all these different slurs. And why is that? Because they wanted to take away our power. They wanted to take away our power to think for ourselves.
Economy in shambles. In shambles. It's not just bad, it's in shambles. That's why real GDP has outpaced a pre-COVID projection. Can't believe Biden and Harris would do this. What the hell? What the hell?
And to go out.
Is this true for any other country, by the way? I doubt it is.
And seek the truth. And that's why so many more black men are starting to go for Donald Trump, because we ultimately want a better future for ourselves and for our next generations.
I mean, Jill Stein, it's been the presidential race this year where absolutely nothing could be predicted. It's been a roller coaster ride, the like of which we've never seen.
Who knows? Maybe she could win. Did you see in Nevada, she accidentally registered as not as a candidate, but as like a ballot initiative? I don't know if it'll actually end up being on a ballot, but like what she registered for was like a ballot initiative where it'd be like a lot of states is for abortion, where it's like, do you want abortion to be legal, yes or no? So she'll be on the ballot as Jill Stein, yes or no, if she is on it. Yeah, Nevada Green Party accidentally filled out the form to put the words Jill Stein up as a public referendum.
Enormously transformative in the way the last one was.
He'll probably be able to get it withdrawn, but...
What do you think Kamala Harris needs to do to try and defeat Donald Trump tomorrow?
Oh, she hates Kamala Harris.
I think it's highly unlikely that this debate is going to capture the spirit of the American people. I think we're seeing the two parties basically fail. Well, I think we are seeing the two parties fail to address the healthcare crisis, to address the housing crisis, where 50% of all Americans are basically 1 or 2 paychecks away from eviction, can't afford their rent. 63%.
Oh, they're all living paycheck. Oh, 63% are living paycheck to paycheck. Say it. Percent
of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
I knew exactly what she was going to say. First of all, the new number is 78% via that fucking payroll.org study. Get updated numbers, yeah. The reason she won't say that new number is because obviously 78% of Americans are not living paycheck to paycheck. The median net worth of an American family is like $193K. The median American is $8,000 in transaction accounts, so like checkings and savings accounts. So that clearly probably not evidence of them living paycheck to paycheck. And then 54% of U.S. adults have 3 or more months of savings in their bank account. So, at the very least, those 54% should not be counted as living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah.
And yet we are spending half of our congressional.
Oh, and like some of these, like what she's citing is not like a study. She's citing a survey. She's just citing a like survey of like 1,000 Americans, which sometimes can be good, but also paycheck to paycheck is not like a well-defined economic term. It doesn't really mean anything. It means different things to different people, which is why if you look at, I don't know about the specific one that she's citing, but I think the one I cited earlier, that like payroll.org study, found that like more Americans were living paycheck to paycheck earning over $100,000 than Americans living paycheck to paycheck earning less than $100,000, which doesn't really make sense. So yeah.
Budget on the endless war machine. And by the way, the vast majority of Americans want an end to the genocide going on in Gaza, and yet, as well as a weapons embargo to make that happen. Yet we are not seeing the two major candidates actually address either of these crises. And there's basically an unwritten agreement that we will not address basically the dominance of Wall Street and the war machine over our economy, over our lives. The voters have basically been thrown under the bus. So it's no wonder that both candidates, I think, what you see largely are people voting against the candidate that they hate the most instead of for the candidate that they want. And I'll just say that my campaign will be doing an after commentary, also addressing the same issues brought up in the election, but from a very different point of view that actually addresses the crises that Americans are facing in every dimension of our lives.
If, though, the majority of Americans shared your view, why would the Green Party not be doing a lot better in the polling?
Well, for one thing, we're not covered by mainstream media, with the exception of, a few minutes here today, and thank you so much for that. But we are systematically suppressed.
So
and let me just say that the Democrats have pulled out all the stops in order to throw us off the ballot. They have their army of lawyers.
Motherfucker, you signed up as a fucking ballot initiative. You signed up as a public referendum in Nevada. Okay.
To not just deny third parties, but to deny voters what voters have actually been vehemently clamoring for. At record numbers, 63% of Americans are now saying they need other choices, and in this election, so the American voters really want other choices here. Those are being denied. The Democrats have also publicly advertised for infiltrators and spies in order to disrupt our ballot drives. And this is their strategy. They do not want to face us in the court of public opinion, keep us out of debates, keep us out of press coverage, fear campaign and smear campaign against us so that they can simply eliminate their competition. They are quaking in their boots. They have also hijacked our public funding, which we qualified for in order to prevent us from getting on the ballot. However, we are largely
They hijacked her public funding. Have not heard of that one.
In spite of their army of lawyers and the rest. And we will be on the ballot for about 95% of voters. We will be the only anti-genocide, anti-war, climate emergency, pro-worker campaign that is on the ballot across the country with a potential pathway as far as you want to go. And
Mission certifies she's eligible to receive public funding. Public funding hijacked. I don't know what she means by this.
This is what voters are clamoring for, and this is what the debate.
Green Party leaders, major parties gutted presidential campaign funding to silence opposition.
Should actually be about.
How do you feel about Kamala Harris's U-turn on fracking?
Well, she's done a lot of U-turns. I mean, This is to be expected. She puts her fingers to the wind, and basically, she's done a U-turn on immigration. She's pulling back on the tax, the increase in the capital gains tax, which Biden had promised. And this is typical.
I mean, she did also propose the unrealized capital gains tax, but like, yeah, she's the Democratic nominee now. Democrats are a big tent party, as much as you may not like that. She kind of has to appeal to broader base of people, including moderates and independents, which is why she can't be an ultra fucking progressive lefty like you.
Of the Democrats. You know, they went into the last election saying they were going to fight for a $15 minimum wage. They wouldn't even bring that to a vote, that they would stand for workers, yet they basically forced.
Yeah, I wonder why I wouldn't do that in like 2020 when we had super high inflation. But yeah.
Forced the railroad workers to accept a contract that they had already.
Oh my God. I hate when people mention a railroad thing so much, because Biden and the NLRB did like so much for unions, and like mentioning the one arguably bad thing they did, the railroad forcing the union workers to compromise on the railroad issue. Oh my God.
Rejected, which created very dangerous working conditions, which laid the groundwork for the catastrophe in East Palestine. You know, they long ago, Barack Obama was talking about the public option as an alternative so that people could actually afford their health care instead of this crisis that we continue to have to this day. You know, yet where was it? The public option disappeared. The supposed bulk purchasing for pharmaceuticals that would bring down that price. Well, that became 10 pharmaceuticals by 2026, where the price would be reduced. So, you know, what we hear from the Democrats basically is a lot of lip service. From the Republicans, we really don't hear much at all. They don't even make promises. But Democrats make promises and then break them, which is basically, you know, driving people into the arms of Donald Trump. The most spoiled elections that the Democrats ever had was 2010, following the Wall Street bailouts. You know, while millions of homeowners got thrown out, there was the Democratic trifecta, you know, basically bailing out Wall Street and throwing working people under the bus. That is why people are moving to the right. That is why people are so hungry for other options. As you were saying in your previous segment, what we must have is a debate. If we can't actually have a debate in our elections, when are we going to have a real debate? And you don't get that from two parties that are bought and paid for by the same, you know, very powerful economic interests.
By AIPAC.
I don't disagree with you.
AIPAC, you said it.
Just want to talk about something. You posted on video on X saying morally superior liberals are like, I would never vote for a felon, Trump, but here's our statue of George Floyd. Another video you said about women. I'm sorry, I'm so tired of the tens of thousands online saying I'm going to vote for her, Kamala Harris, because he's going to strip away all our rights. What rights? He was already president. What rights did you lose? Zero. He's trying to protect women's rights. Now, there'll be lots of...
Wow. Roe v. Wade was overturned because of the justices he appointed. He also tried to overturn an election. I mean, he failed ultimately, but like, you know, kind of a big deal.
Women on the left.
We all kind of do have a right to vote, and he kind of tried to subvert that multiple different ways.
People say he's trying to destroy women's rights, and that the whole abandonment of Roe versus Wade after he packed the Supreme Court with conservative judges was specifically designed to remove women's rights. What do you say to that?
Didn't Trump say that? Didn't Trump say specifically that he wanted to overturn Roe versus Wade?
Oh boy, yeah, no.
But we sent it to the states.
Those two videos got a lot of feedback on. No, when I specifically asked what rights were taken away under Trump, I mean, they can't say. I don't think any of those women's rights were taken away under Trump. And now that he's, you know, agreed to not do the nationwide abortion ban, and now that he's moving forward with wanting to protect IVF, it's just one of those things they continue to say because, frankly, they have nothing else to say.
Which she's not mentioning. He flip-flopped on, right?
And then
like he's done on abortion like 10 times.
They're the same women that are single voter issues. They only care about aborting children. And then when it comes to protecting women by keeping men out of sports, out of our spaces, and dangerous men out of our country,
awesome.
they're
Every
completely
time.
silent on. So they don't actually care about women's rights or protecting them. Once again, they don't know what a woman is, so it wouldn't matter either way. And yeah, I just think it's funny that the morally superior liberals are so quick to be like, Trump's a felon, he's a bad guy, and all these things. Yeah, you know, and they're like, no, felons should be able to vote and do all these things. They're like, unless it's Donald Trump. But George Floyd was apparently an amazing person, so.
Well, George Floyd...
Is anyone saying George Floyd isn't a bit? Well, some people I'm sure say George Floyd is an amazing person. That's not the point of like George Floyd statues or anything. The point is that he was murdered by police.
Was brutally murdered by a police officer who was convicted of brutal murder. And unfortunately, we saw it all on a cell phone. Otherwise, it would have probably never been reported. I can see you shaking your head there, Destiny.
Yeah, this happens all the time. Whenever you debate conservatives, I mean, it's happened here, it's going to happen in other places. It'll be like, here's the standards for, Republican lawmakers. And then they'll point to like people on Twitter on the other side. Like, well, what about that person? Well, I don't remember voting for George Floyd for president or nominating him for president. The idea that that's your basis of comparison, like, oh, you got a problem with Donald Trump? Well, what about George Floyd? It's just such a hilariously telling, I think, example.
Well, let me ask you a difficult question.
Well, he was also a criminal that overdose, but that's another situation.
That still doesn't get him any closer to being nominated.
Yeah, he overdosed. We're still pushing. God, I don't understand anyone who says that should not have a platform. I don't get it. Not like they should be banned. I don't think they should be banned. It's just that people should realize that they're obviously fucking retarded. But
for president, the Democratic Party, I don't understand what the comparison is for.
It's just funny to have different standards. You're like, this is fine, but this isn't fine. That's the whole point of that. You don't need to read that deeply into it. It's not.
Well, it's funny to have different standards.
Is anyone saying George Floyd was fine? I think the point of George Floyd, Jill Steinlow, I know, yeah. The point is that George Floyd stuff is that he was murdered by police officers. Not that like. I feel like my chat is Messed up. Damn, that woman is attractive. True. You don't mean Jill Stein, right? You mean the other. Why is it doing that?
For different people? Isn't that the point, to have different standards for different people? Like,
yeah,
the point is
I know
more
it's gotten as a joke.
they uplift George Floyd. They put him on murals. They have tattoos. People have tattoos of George Floyd. They uplift him as this amazing, heroic individual. And the point that she's making is less about George Floyd being president. It's the way that they degrade Donald Trump. Because yes, it is not a glorious thing that we have a presidential candidate who has felonies on his hands. But what is more, her point that she's making here is that they are degrading him, making it seem like he's this awful person, like he is the worst person to ever walk this earth. But then George Floyd, who has this terrible rap sheet, he is uplifted to the heavens by the left. So it's not about him being president.
Well, let's not.
It's just so stupid. I'm sorry. I love my mom to death. She's one of the best people in the world. She would make a horrible president. Okay, if my mom was auditioning to be my mom, I would be #1 her supporter. If my mom was auditioning for president, I'd be her biggest hater on the internet. Like, obviously, you have different standards for different people. This is such an insane point. Why would you even try to defend this? At least let her dance.
And also, the entire point is the left has
right?
different standards for everything except for Donald Trump. That's the whole point. Anything he does is horrible, but if anyone else
well, let's talk about. I tell you what. Let's talk about different standards, because I found it fascinating, Destiny, over the weekend, that out of nowhere, Dick Cheney, who was named Darth Cheney after Darth Vader by Democrats for 20 years. He was to them the evil personification, the villain figure of all conservative ills in America. The guy who took America into the illegal war in Iraq, who trampled over human rights left, right, and center. And yet suddenly he pops up because he doesn't like Donald Trump.
You know what? He still cares about democracy more than you do, Piers. Apparently.
I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. And rather than renounce that endorsement with great speed, which is what she should have done if she had any principles, she issued a statement saying, I'm proud to receive Dick Cheney's endorsement. What happened to the 24 years of Dick Cheney's the most, according to Joe Biden in 2008, the most dangerous vice president in the history of the United States, is what he said about Dick Cheney. And here's his own vice president saying how proud she is to get that endorsement. Do you feel a sense of pride?
Endorsements are one way. He endorsed her. I mean, it represents some segment of the Republican Party that's obviously dissatisfied with trying to re-elect a traitor, an insurrectionist.
Would you be proud if Dick Cheney endorsed you?
Oh, she does not like the word insurrection.
You take any endorsement you can get, of course.
Really?
Just because somebody endorses you, just because somebody endorses you doesn't mean that you support their beliefs.
You take any endorsement you can get. So if Adolf Hitler decides to offer an endorsement, you would accept it.
A vote is a vote. Just because somebody endorses you doesn't mean that you have to. What does it mean to reject an endorsement?
I don't know. The argument here probably should have been, you know, that one guy is on House of the Dragon, isn't he? I have no clue. He could be. The argument here really should have been, yeah. If Hitler's endorsing you, he's probably endorsing you for the wrong reasons. But Dick Cheney's endorsing Kamala Harris for the right reasons. Dick Cheney's endorsing Kamala Harris because he believes Trump poses a big threat to democracy. That's the.
Adolf Hitler to win power?
Well, right now I wouldn't, because Hitler's dead. So I don't know what is the point. Do you have to go around and disavow different segments of voters? This is such a nonsense question.
It's actually a very good question. It's a very good question. But I'm going to bring in a living figure. If Kim Jong-un,
I have not seen House of Dragon.
Decided to offer an endorsement to Kamala Harris, should she accept it or not?
When you say accept an endorsement, should you have a formal ceremony celebrating it?
If Kim Jong-un today said, I endorse from North Korea Kamala Harris to be president of the United States, would you think she should accept that?
Tell me what you mean when you say accept it. Should she tell him no, don't vote for me?
With Dick Cheney, she should have a statement saying how proud she was that he endorsed her. And that staggered me, given what a hate figure Cheney has been for 3 decades or more to liberals, progressive liberals. Here's one of the most progressive, if not the most progressive liberal Democrat nominee in American presidential history, saying how proud she is that Dick Cheney endorsed it. So my question to you was frivolous to start with. Would you accept Hitler's endorsement for a candidate? And you said, absolutely. We didn't dispute it. And then you said, but he's dead. So then I said, what about Kim Jong-un or President Xi or Vladimir Putin or the Ayatollah Khomeini? I mean, at what point do these endorsements, if you accept them proudly, become actually disgraceful slurs on your own integrity?
This is a nonsense question. And I remember back in 2008, I watched Ron Paul get hit with the same question. When I was a young college kid, I used to be a libertarian. I think it was some KKK organization when they came out, they supported Ron Paul. And people were saying, Ron Paul, do you disavow the endorsement from the KKK leader? And Ron Paul said, you know what? If people want to vote for me, that's fine. I'm not going to tell people not to vote for me. Just because somebody endorses me doesn't mean that I support all the views.
I mean, like, Dick Cheney? He's kind of before my time, right? Because I'm fucking 18. I wasn't paying attention to politics when he was vice president ever. But, like, yeah, a lot of people don't like Dick Cheney.
To that person. You would agree with that, right?
No, I would say, no, if the KKK want to endorse me, I will publicly denounce that endorsement and say I want nothing to do with it. That is called being a civilized human being. You appear, Destiny, correct me if I'm wrong, to be able to view that
a really good guest for mainstream media show. I haven't really seen him on any mainstream media shows. I've only seen it on his own uncensored show.
Any endorsement that helps.
But he did bring Twitch politics panel into the mainstream. So that being said, Piers Morgan, it's an ADL mouthpiece.
You win power, it's absolutely fine, even if they're genocidal maniacs.
I don't know if I would consider Dick Cheney to be a genocidal maniac.
He was literally called that.
Vote for you,
He's literally
if somebody wants to vote for you,
if
somebody wants to vote for you, this is an absurd standard. If somebody wants to vote for you, then allow them to vote for you. If their fans want to vote for you, then allow them to vote for you. Why would you sit here and fight against an endorsement for a vote?
Well, okay, let me go to somebody who actually
absolute nonsense.
Okay, well, I don't agree with you. I think you've just discovered you've opened a can of worms and you can't work out a way to get out of it. Let me bring in Jill Stein. I mean, Jill, if you got an endorsement from Dick Cheney or the Ku Klux Klan or Vladimir Putin, a public endorsement, what would your reaction be?
I would publicly reject it, but let me say, I think more important than the endorsement is the fact that the policies of Dick Cheney, you know, his neocon approach to our foreign policy, his endless war
but I think he believes
his very hostile,
probably.
you know, it's like fight first and ask questions later. I think that's the core of the problem right here, is that the Democrats have very much adopted the agenda of Dick Cheney and the Republican war.
No. The Democrats have adopted a position of Dick Cheney? Have they? I don't know. Kamala Harris, just because now she doesn't support, or now she is not in favor of banning fracking. That is the same as Dick Cheney. Can't believe it. Can't believe it.
That is the more critical problem here.
Oh, the war machine. Okay.
Than the endorsements. But yes, absolutely. I would certainly reject those.
Meanwhile, Trump is saying, obviously Trump was retarded when he says that, but Trump is saying, like, if you don't vote for me, Israel will be gone in a few years.
I mean, we've got a picture.
The real problem here is that the Democrats have really adopted.
I want to show a picture. This is a view with the world leader. Let's take a look. It's you sitting at a table with Vladimir Putin. So if Vladimir Putin,
oh my God! Thank God he brought this up. This is so funny.
Putin
yes.
Offered you an endorsement. What would you say?
I would absolutely reject it. And I was there actually at a conference in order to challenge Vladimir Putin. Unfortunately, I didn't have an opportunity to talk with him because he sat at that table for about 10 minutes before he gave a speech in Russian. There were no introductions. There were no exchanges whatsoever, no conversations. The one person I could talk with was a former German foreign minister who was sitting to my right, Willy Wimmer. But otherwise, I was not able to talk to any of the dignitaries. The guy on my left, I thought was just Putin's bodyguard. It turned out he was like his,
Cheney's
I think his press,
maniac
his
or whatever.
chief of press
Yeah.
or something like that. But there were absolutely no introductions. And by the way, the Senate Intelligence Committee investigated in detail whether there were any connections between myself, my campaign, and the Russian government, et cetera, and gave me a full exoneration and thanked me for my full cooperation.
Okay.
So unfortunately, that photo is used as part of the Democrats' arsenal of trying to silence their competitors.
Okay, well, you've given a response to that, but let me put a quote back to you, which you.
God, it's literally the horseshoe theory thing. Like both the far left and far right are now claiming Russiagate. Russiagate is false. So you attended a Russian event? Yeah, I don't know anything about Jill Stein's involvement with Russia, but I know pretty sure she does have a retarded take on Russia, Ukraine. So, you know,
you said in February
regardless of what her involvement is with it, you know,
2024, Russia's invasion of Ukraine was a provoked response to the bigger, more murderous and illegal game plan of U.S. empire. In 2014, the U.S. backed a coup in Ukraine led by far-right insurrectionists. It was a giant step towards the goal of adding Ukraine to NATO.
See, I don't really care if she's funded by Russia or not, because if she is saying this, you might as well be like, even like you're either funded by Russia or you're so retarded that you repeat Russian talking points to the extent that they would be willing to fund you, like Tim Pool. So.
And putting hostile bases and nuclear-capable missiles right on Russia's border. That sounds like a fairly ringing endorsement of Putin's invasion.
Well, what you didn't include was the first part of that quote, which was actually a condemnation of Putin's invasion as likewise being murderous and illegal, which it was. But the point is that it was totally avoidable, and once it occurred, it was actually quite fixable. And unfortunately, the U.S. and the U.K. disrupted the peace accord, which was well underway, a peace treaty between Ukraine and Russia.
Okay,
and the U.S. came in, and the U.K. came in and said, no way. So that is the problem. This has been ginned up for a long time. It's a very unfortunate circumstance that puts us all at risk. This is like, think of this like the Cuban Missile Crisis in reverse.
Just to clarify, when you say that the invasion was a provoked response to the bigger...
She says she went there to challenge Putin and sat at a table with him, but claims she didn't get the chance, I guess.
Murderous game of the U.S. empire. Do you stand by that?
It doesn't matter, because her take's dumb anyway.
So it's important. Let's put the Ukraine
and
war
he's not
in
letting
context
Destiny
of
respond.
75 regime change operations of the U.S.? Absolutely. I would like to be able to...
Did you say 45 regime change operations? Since when? Since when are we starting that?
Would you stand by
75 regime change operations?
75? 75. Since when? Since like 1900? Are we counting everything throughout the Cold War until now?
Of the U.S.? Absolutely. I would like to be able to...
And she's counting Ukraine in that. And I don't think we did regime change in Ukraine. So she's probably counting a bunch of other stuff that really does not have good evidence that we were... actually involved in the regime change there.
Explain that statement so it doesn't have to stand as a soundbite. But absolutely, I mean, the U.S. spends more on our military than the next 10 countries combined. We spend half of our congressional budget on these endless wars. And what's going on in Ukraine basically was just the latest in a whole series of absolutely catastrophic wars that are robbing the American people blind. We're spending half of our congressional budget. The average household, according to Jeffrey Sachs, who I know is a friend of yours as well, at the University of Columbia, it's $12,000 is the cost of the endless war machine to the average American household. Now, most Americans do not...
Unbelievable way to frame it. We're not even... Ukraine is like the cheapest war we've ever fought. Like, I think we've given them like less than $200 billion altogether to she's a Russian asset in her Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah. Her and Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah. It's wild. It's but like, we've given Ukraine less than $200 billion worth of equipment, which is like that's like less than we spent in like a month in Afghanistan. I think we spent $2 trillion in total in Afghanistan. This is like the cheapest war we've ever fought. We're not even directly involved. We don't have troops on the ground. Well, Jill Stein probably actually does think we have troops on the ground, but but also we're giving them old equipment. Like, spoke at a CUFI. I don't know what that even is. Christians for United for Israel. Oh. Yeah, but like we're not even giving them money. We're giving them old equipment. In some cases, giving them this old equipment literally just literally saves us money. Like with like our expiring artillery shells, it's literally cheaper for us to ship them to Ukraine than to have them like dismantled and disposed of here. And yeah, a lot of it is just like old equipment. We give Ukraine old equipment and we buy new equipment. It's not like we're just giving them a ton of cash. Yeah, it's like
know what we are paying for this and what the risks are, because as I was mentioning, this is the Cuban Missile Crisis in reverse. And you may recall.
I know what you're paying for. You're paying to preserve.
You know what? I'm sorry?
I think you're paying to preserve freedom and democracy, which is, by the way, what America's position in the world was for many, many decades, and very successfully. I want to bring in Javier here.
Well, it's no longer
bring in Destiny. He knows the Ukraine talking
moral
points.
mazes here. Destiny doesn't mind having endorsements from Adolf Hitler or Kim Jong-un. Jill, they're thinking that America somehow is more to blame, it seems, than Russia for the invasion of Ukraine and so on. How are we getting to these weird moral places? Why is there not just an agreed line between people of all sides that, yes, we defend freedom and democracy where we see it attacked and imperiled, and yes, actually endorsements from genocidal maniacs are not to be accepted?
Because that would make too much sense, Piers. I mean, at this point, we've already seen that politics, both domestically and globally, it's all about division. It's all about getting us to point the finger at each other. And overall, it's just an L for all of society. I think you should not, I want to go back to when it comes to accepting that endorsement, you can also just remain silent if someone comes out and endorses you, because ultimately you do want those votes. But the way that the left has embraced Dick Cheney's endorsement is just hilarious to me, especially considering Joe Biden's on record saying that Dick Cheney was the most dangerous vice president of all time. And they spent 20 years calling him a war criminal and all these nefarious things. But then you have...
You know, the spectrum kind of changes with Donald Trump. You know, it changes a little bit, you know, because for a while, like, although we might have considered people like dangerous or war criminals or whatever, we were all like working within this framework of like a constitutional republic, right? Donald Trump is outside of this framework. That's the issue. That's the reason she accepted his endorsement, because although they definitely don't fucking like him, he was still operating within this constitutional republic framework.
Bernie Sanders going out and saying how great of a thing it is that Dick Cheney endorsed Kamala Harris. But again, it just goes to show that this election is very much the people versus the system. And Kamala Harris is the representation of the system, and Donald Trump is representing the people. But when it comes to just the moral standard of all these different foreign entities and all these different just allegations of who's a war criminal and who is not, we are not focusing on what we can do to actually make people have a better quality of life here in America. The number one thing that is missing from modern political discussions is actual policy. And actual policy would be relatively easy to compromise if we got rid of all the antics, but that want to get ratings and that want to get the attention that people want onto other things so that they can distract us, so that they don't have to do the actual work that it would take to solve our country and turn things around.
Okay, let me bring in Emily. I mean, Emily, do you think, political endorsements, right now, they can be very valuable or not, as the case may be. I'm really not convinced that Dick Cheney's endorsement of Kamala Harris will be anything but in the slightly longer term bad for her. Certainly terrible for him and his reputation, and his daughter, who was a great Republican cheerleader and then decided to go full on against Trump. It cost her her seat, obviously. And they're the pair of them now queuing up to...
Is that a respectable thing to do? Yes, she gave up her political seat because she doesn't embrace Donald Trump. That's a remarkable thing to do. That should be a good thing, right? What? Yeah, that's why Piers Morgan bring up accepting the endorsement of Hitler is hilarious. Like, Trump is Hitler and Cheney's a normal neocon.
Support a Democrat nominee, and she's proudly accepting them after 25 years of vilifying this guy as the worst of the worst.
I mean, she flip-flops on a lot of things, so I'm not surprised by this. It's also the news cycle now. Let's be real. People are going to forget about this when she does the next dumb thing in a couple days. And, the next speech comes out where in 18 minutes she can't even make one coherent sentence. But I do find it interesting. Very viral clips have been going online the past 24 hours. I've been seeing an interview with Putin where he's smirking, almost laughing, saying that she should be the next president and she should win. He's basically endorsing her in this video, which I think is insane. But weirdly, the media is suppressing that story right now. So I find that interesting.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's only one reason why Vladimir Putin's endorsing Kamala Harris is he wants her to be president. The only reason he wants her to be president, he thinks that she will be a weaker president of the United States than Donald Trump. Because
Really? He couldn't be thinking the opposite, and he's quote unquote endorsing Kamala. By the way, he was like, everyone was laughing there. Like, it seemed like he was literally making a joke. Really? He couldn't just be doing that? So dumbass people like you or Piers Morgan say that, and then more people end up voting for Trump because they think he's better on foreign policy. Really? Is this why Russia's funding right-wing media? They gave $10 million to Tenet Media, or I guess $9.7 million to Tenet Media for their like right-wing talking points.
Trump,
like,
for all the attempts to try and frame him as Putin's great buddy and so on and so on, he's unpredictable. And I think on the world stage, I quite like that unpredictability. It seemed to keep them all in their boxes, whether it was Kim Jong-un, President Xi, Putin, Ayatollah Khomeini. They all kept in their boxes pretty much.
No, they literally. What are we talking about? Iran literally attacked Saudi Arabia under Trump.
We're in war.
Kim Jong-un literally. That's great. You have a cute little phrase of in war, but they were attacking the country with bombs. Okay, I don't know what you would call that. Whatever you would call that is fine. That's that's congratulations. Okay, Kim was still testing missiles. Okay, that didn't stop under Donald Trump. The appeasements that he was making around the world towards people wasn't moving us towards peace. It was moving us towards this false sense of security because Trump was too stupid or too lazy to actually deal with any of the issues that were going on around the world. This idea that he somehow gets credit for foreign policy because he kicked the can down the road on everything, that he invited the Taliban to Doha to make an agreement cutting out the Afghanistan government, that he abandoned allies in Syria while also bombing a Syrian airport. We say, oh, Trump was the president of peace when he was making deals in the Middle East, cutting out the Palestinians, when he was having photo ops with people like Kim. This idea that Trump is some great master of foreign policy is hilarious. Also, this idea that we should be talking policy in the United States instead of antics, I agree 1 trillion %. It's actually a huge problem that I have. Kamala Harris is significantly to the left of me on a lot of economic issues. We can't talk about that because the conservatives have abandoned policy since 2016. They just want to talk about whatever crazy antics Trump is up to. And the idea of making fun of Kamala Harris being unable to string together like a coherent sentence when Donald Trump gave a 3-minute rambling answer to what policy would you support to help children and childcare for struggling families is hilarious. Donald Trump literally can't speak. He's never put together a coherent policy thought.
That's why he does 3-hour-long interviews every day with the biggest people in the country because he can't talk. Got it.
You should try actually watching one and listening to the words that he's saying instead of getting so excited that Donald Trump is speaking.
I watch every single one.
Really, give me one coherent policy position that Trump has expanded on in the last 2 months.
So out of Theo
Exactly.
Von, he didn't have one sentence in 9 hours.
On all of the critical issues that the American people are demanding. You know, if you go to Kamala Harris's website, what do you find? You know, you find advertisements for, you know, for basically brand clothing and you know, mugs, coffee mugs, and so on. You will not find her policies. And likewise, in her debates.
By the way, she made her policy page like, I'm pretty sure she made her policy page before. I don't know when they filmed this, but before this video came out. This came out 4 hours ago. I don't know when they filmed this, but I think they filmed these the day of. Because I think on Destiny's Stream, he said he was going on, Piers Morgan, on Monday. I think they filmed these the day of. So, like, you know, kind of does have a policy page. I think he... Look, she released it.
We are not seeing coherent policies, and they're not being debated. Why? Because they're both being funded by the billionaires, by the oligarchs, by the upper 1%, and you have the parties enforcing that. If you saw the footage from the DNC, from the floor of the DNC, you saw the ring of corporate suites up at the top costing anywhere from $500,000 to $5 million. That is the power in the House, both for the Democrats and the Republicans. That is why we badly need to open up this political process, and that is what the American people are demanding. It's the American people who are locked out of this discussion and locking out other candidates who are not bought and paid for.
Okay, I want to just bring in another guest, just have a quick chat with me, and I'll get the reaction from the panel. A judge has ordered Donald Trump to stop using the song Hold On, I'm Coming after the family of one of the co-writers pursued a lawsuit. Trump's campaign used it at the RNC in July, as well as before and after speeches at various rallies.
Thank you. God bless you. God bless you.
Wow. Did YouTube copy strike them or something?
Through Isaac Hayes Jr., alleged Trump's campaign had infringed its copyright and should pay damages. Isaac Hayes' son, Isaac Hayes III, joins me now. Isaac Hayes, great to see you. First of all, can we agree on one thing? Trump's dancing is not bad for a guy 78.
Oh my God. Jesus fucking girl. When people, I don't know if Pierce has, but people criticize Kamala for like her cringe laugh, but like Donald Trump's dancing is supposed to be not cringe and apparently good and funny. What?
I don't have any comment about his dancing. It's not a dance, it's just a shimmy. But no,
Okay, to get serious, why are you so angry about one of these songs being used at a Trump rally? I mean, after all, I would imagine that there would have been lots of conservative voters who would have bought your father's records.
Well, it's not to do with that. It's a longer story that people really don't know about, which is the fact that my father lost the rights to his music a year before I was born. And so during the span of his lifetime, he never saw money from those records. Our family never saw the income from those records. And so in the United States of America, we have a copyright termination law that if there were bad deals done, the opportunity for the author of those works to reclaim those copyrights is something that was possible. So we filed termination notices for these songs in 2014, knowing very well that they would come back. So as soon as we get these songs back in March of 2022, here comes Donald Trump infringing on the copyright at the end of the NRA convention in Houston, where we didn't want him to play the song without, preparing to actually have a proper license. And so I thought it was distasteful to do that on the heels of this mass shooting in Houston with the NRA convention. And so that is where this stems from. I'm not angry. This is simply a matter of copyright law and someone that is not paying to have the proper license to use the song.
Oh, well, that's interesting. So to be clear, if Trump paid up, then you wouldn't have any problem in principle with your father's songs being used at the rallies.
No, well, here's the thing. I would have a problem with Donald Trump. I think people try to make this a political conversation. This is not Republican or Democrat. This is the nature and the character of Donald Trump, a person that has been found liable for sexual abuse. Using a song, he says disparaging things about women. He says, very cruel things about women, especially women of color. And I know my father would not want that person using that song, right? And more importantly, Donald Trump has a name. He sued over 100 people for his brand, his image, his likeness, his IP.
That's true.
And so how can he infringe on someone else's copyright when he sues people for doing the exact same thing?
No, I think it's a very valid point, but I'm just curious what your real motivation is, because you seemed at the start of this to say it wasn't about anything other than a copyright issue, which made me think that you wouldn't have an objection in principle if you paid the money. But it seems to me like you do have an objection in principle to Trump using your father's songs at all.
Yeah, that is secondary to the fact that he doesn't have a license to do so. But
even if he offered to pay, would you ban him from using it?
No, he wouldn't be allowed to. We wouldn't want him to use it anyway. No,
right. So it's not really about the money, is it? It's actually you don't like.
Well,
Donald
he said
Trump.
it's secondary. It's a secondary
no, it's not saying that I don't like
consideration.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump has a character and a nature that does not gel well with our brand. Here's something that's more important. That song gets licensed, right? An enormous amount of times. The perception or the understanding is that when someone like Donald Trump uses that song, it's an endorsement of Donald Trump. And I don't want people to perceive that song is an endorsement of Donald Trump. I don't think anybody thinks that Beyonce is not endorsing Kamala Harris by her using her song, right? Okay. So as writer of the song, then we have a right to say we don't want people to appear that we are endorsing Donald Trump by allowing him to use this record.
Okay, but what if Trump comes back and says, all right, I'll give you $1 million every time I play it?
No.
Free money.
We're past that because he's actually violated copyright law, right? He's actually violated copyright law by not having a proper license to play the song. He played the song 133 times over the last 2 years, and a good portion of that time, he did not have the proper license from BMI to play that song. And then when he was told to not play the song and got notified legally by BMI to not play the song, he continued to play the song. That's open and shut copyright infringement. That's $150,000 every time willful copyright infringement is done. So no, this is not.
Okay, so how much are you actually suing him for? $3 million, I've read. Is that correct?
Well, we made a request for $3 million, right? That was before we had the opportunity to settle or not take this case to court. But since then, they never responded. So we had to file an injunction. We got a temporary injunction. And so now every single use of that song is something that we would either go to trial with, or some sort of mediation will be worked out and that song will be paid for.
Isaac Hayes, third, I really appreciate you joining me and clarifying that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let me bring back the panel here. So, Destiny, let me start with you. I want to play a clip. This is Elton John during an interview with Variety, where he was asked about Donald Trump.
Why are we talking about this? Why?
Little Rocket Man. Let's take a look.
I know that you're not a supporter of Donald Trump's. He loves your music. How did it feel when he took the lyrics to Rocket Man and he used it as a nickname for Kim Jong-un, and then he gave Kim Jong-un...
I laughed. I thought it was brilliant. I just thought, good on you, Donald. I'm the Rocket Man, yeah. Donald's always been a fan of mine, and he's been to my concerts many, many times. So, I mean, I've always been friendly towards him, and I thank him for his support. Yeah, when he did that, I just thought it was hilarious. It made me laugh.
Now, I was very surprised by Elton John's words there. I was expecting him not to say that at all. But you've got two very contrasting positions there, Destiny, from two musicians. One is the son of a great musician, one is the actual musician themselves. But it all revolves around Trump and him using their brands in some way to further his objectives. What's your view about this? Should it be tolerated, given that everyone does it? Should it not be tolerated? Should people like Isaac Hayes III, on behalf of his family, have a legitimate case to sue for millions?
I mean, if copyright infringement is copyright infringement. I'll say that when I looked at the two different situations that were presented here, though, it kind of looks like the big difference is who's endorsing who. So for Isaac Hayes, if the appearance is that the music that he, I think, is exercising control over.
That's true. I don't know how I didn't realize that. Yeah, that's true. These are totally not analogous at all.
It's making it appear as though his family or his father is supporting, or would have been supporting, Donald Trump. That's the issue that he has with it. Whereas if Donald Trump is supporting, a different musician, that musician is probably likely to just say like, oh, okay, that's cool that he's supporting me. Like, that's it. Because it's just an endorsement. It doesn't mean that you endorse all of their views, right? You endorsing somebody else is a much bigger deal than them endorsing you. So I would say that looked like the biggest difference there between those two situations.
All right, and Javier, I mean, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because there will be lots of people at Trump rallies who probably are big fans of Isaac Hayes' music. You know, I remember when I was at CNN getting involved in lots of angry debates with NRA people about gun rights, that there were big stars who would call me and say, I don't want to do that interview with you next week, not because I don't like you or don't like the show, but because I don't want to alienate half my audience, which struck me as a perfectly sensible position to have. Is it sensible for these artists or their families or their estate representatives to go to war with Trump? Given
how long are they talking about music? I don't care. I don't care about the music at all.
About playing into the antics of,
He has nothing but nice things to say about him. I'm sorry, frankly, it's very silly in general, and it shouldn't matter at all.
I sort of agree. I just think music's for all.
Okay. We'll watch the last part of this. Piers slams Jill as Putin's best friend. Base.
Well, what's going on? I just want everything to be fair. That's it.
Jill Stein is Vladimir's best friend on this panel. That's a joke. What do you make of this?
Well, I think in terms of being fair all around, it's important to put this in context. As Destiny said, there's a handful of views here. So this is not the big impact. On the other hand, let's look at AIPAC, which ought to be treated and considered a foreign agent, which has spent $100 million, I think, so far in this election, which has enormous impact on who goes to Congress and who doesn't and who's removed. And then what policies actually, there was Netanyahu accused as an absolute war criminal by the International Criminal Court being applauded with a standing ovation once every minute by a Congress, which is completely out of step here with the American people. And you've got AIPAC, which
like half of the Democratic senators weren't even there for that, or I think it was both of the houses were there for that, but I think half of the Democrats weren't even there for that.
Which is a very powerful force behind this. So I think that's where we need to be looking. RFK, the original RFK, not RFK Jr., but the original RFK as an attorney general and JFK were both in the process of reclassifying AIPAC as a foreign agent, which it should be.
Okay, well, just to be clear, none of you
and it has enormous impact, unlike a handful of views here, which these videos have.
Well,
I think it's really important to look at what happens here.
I don't know if the new Russian marching orders that went out to all of the propaganda people that work for them, I guess, in international media. I hear this line a lot, the big impact line. That's not relevant. First of all, people say, well, it didn't have that big an impact. That's not true. If you're receiving money, and you might think that that money is tainted because it's coming from a certain source, you're not only going to change your views on that platform, you might change your views on your own platform. The work that Tim Pool was doing for Tenet Media wasn't getting very many views, but his main channel is probably one of the most popular right-wing podcasts in the United States. He probably does more views than most other political commentators online, save for a very small handful. So the idea that he might be changing that content so that he continues to milk those fat $500,000.
Yeah, but to be clear, there's no evidence any of them. Yeah, but there's no evidence any of them changed.
We
can
say
there's no evidence, but I'm just saying that idea, it's just a small impact. This is just one company that was called out. I think the DOJ said there were some 600 foreign influencers that could be taking money from Russian sources right now. So I don't think it's fair to just wipe it off saying it's a small impact. Number one. Number two, AIPAC, okay, it has Israel in the name. The issue with this funding wasn't that Russia was funding media. It's that there was no disclosure. They lied about it. That's the big issue. Okay. AIPAC is not undisclosing money. We don't know who they, oh my God, AIPAC supports Israel. That's insane. That's crazy.
They are violating.
Yes, the violation of the U.S. laws, FARA. Yes, which is disclosure for international
is
funds.
actually a violation of FARA.
Okay, listen, I've got to leave it
there. It has to do with disclosure. Which is about disclosure.
But that is illegal. That is illegal.
I mean, AIPAC is a PAC. Don't they have to disclose who's donating to them? Anyway, can you donate to a PAC anonymously? I don't know. I'm pretty sure you have to
to exercise influence on behalf of a foreign government is actually illegal without having declared it. So there are real legal consequences here. Yes, there absolutely are. And you can debate whether it's a tiny wave or a slightly larger blip. But the point is that AIPAC has a huge impact here and ought to be treated fairly and equally.
The sun has a bigger impact on our climate than our...
North Carolina, well, it's North Carolina. Require candidates to disclose all contributions. This is candidates.
Cars do. That's not a point to anything. It doesn't mean anything. AIPAC and foreign money coming in through shell.
I don't know if you can. Maybe you can. I don't know.
Companies isn't even in the same conversation.
All right, I've got to leave it there.
Well, I think it is to a lot of American people who are watching our foreign policy really.
Well, you both made your points there.
Israel has
I've got to leave it there. Thank you to my panel. To be clear, none of you are being paid $500,000 to appear on this. Not even me. And the Russians have got nothing to do with it as far as I'm aware. So none of you have changed your opinions today because you're being paid to by the Russians. So on that basis, it's an extremely useful exercise.
I'm being paid by the Russians.
My panel. Thank you all very much indeed for joining me.
Crazy. Yeah, Destiny definitely should have argued, well, the Dick Cheney endorsement, the reason why that's good is because he was endorsing Kamala Harris for a good reason, that he thinks Kamala Harris will actually uphold the fucking Constitution, and an endorsement from Hitler probably be bad. Probably would not be because Hitler thought Kamala Harris would uphold the Constitution. Not if you're Russian. You guys don't even know. I'm getting paid. Listen, I actually don't get that that many less views than Tenet Media. Although I think YouTube took the Tenet Media channel down, so I don't know if I can check how many views they get compared to me. Yeah, it's gone. Maybe Social Blade still has it. Yeah, Tenet Media. 2 million. They were getting 2 million. Is this the same? Is this the same thing? It probably is because it's gone. No, they got 2 million though. That's more than I expected. Oh, this is it's because this is all from the indictment though. There's no way they were getting 300,000 weekly views. The videos in there had like 700. Had like 700 views. There's no way, right? But like this is clearly from the indictment that came out, right? No, but I'm pretty sure this is so. I guess they were getting 1 million views or whatever. Although maybe some of that's from shorts or I don't know. But like the videos are like 700 views. Some of my videos get that. Some keyword some. This one has 1,300, 200, 267. God, I knew this stupid ass clip would do. Well, probably Russian AI watching that is true. But also, I think that also could be mostly Tim Pool, because I think the way Tim Pool's contract worked is it was non-exclusive. So he streamed his content to both Tenet Media and his own YouTube channel. So it could have been people just watching Tim Pool's content, but it was like multi-streamed to both their channels. Okay, Jesus, that took longer than we've been streaming 4 hours and we got through two reaction videos. Okay, I didn't expect it to take that long. Okay, we have there's like 3 little short articles I want to read. And then we'll do our Afghanistan reading. Channel was terminated too, right? Yeah. So was all the people like implicated in of wrongdoing in the indictment? So like Tenet Media, and do you share your videos on social sites? Yeah. What? Okay, I'll probably just read. These are relatively short. By the way, I need to make a like a thing promoting it so people know. But again, tomorrow after I will be streaming the presidential debate, and then right after debate panel with Minar, Minar, maybe Sound Soul in North. I don't think most of you guys know North. He's in the boss's server. He just started streaming his stuff. Hopefully, Sound Soul will do it. I reached out to a few different people, but don't want to do it. Maybe I can get Admiral Gibbs.
Doing this thing, but it's happened, and if you care about them, here's the steps we can do to support them to get them out of it. That's the way to do this, at least my opinion. But yeah, Connor.
Yeah, so I need conservatives, I need fiscal conservatives and social conservatives to hear me when I say this, okay? What's happened over the past 40 or 50 years, partially because of deregulation and globalization, is that we are in a K economy. What's happened is if you have a skill, then you can make a few $100 grand a year and your life is going to be pretty good. Okay, that's a class of people.
Yeah.
But
Thank
for
you,
most
Bobby.
people, what's happened
Magna.
is a shitload of their jobs have either stagnated or dropped in value to society, and nobody gives a fuck about these people. Nobody gives a fuck about people who work at Taco Bell. Nobody gives a fuck about Walmart workers. Nobody cares about people who work in fast food retail restaurant.
That's not even. We've seen a lot of wage compression over COVID. That's not even really true, but. I don't know. Who else could I get? I don't want to just like reach out. I don't know many other fucking conservative people. I don't know. Panda won't do it. Panda won't do it. I don't want to just DM random. I guess horseradish isn't conservative, but maybe I can do that. Maybe Gorps would do it. I'll see if sound. I don't know. I want it to be balanced, but. If Sound Soul does it, then I'll try to get Corpse to do it as well. When Donald Trump takes the debate stage on Tuesday, he will doubtless try to disavow Project 2025, the radically conservative blueprint spearheaded by the Heritage Foundation for the next Republican administration. We shouldn't let him. 78% of the contributors to the effort were members of his last administration, and many of them are likely appointees to his next team if reelected. As the old Washington saying goes, personnel is policy. By the way, the guy who does the date right stuff, the guy who does the stupid ass like TikTok the shit, he's probably going to be appointed to the personnel team again because he was with it last time. Globalization has definitely benefited high school workers more than low school. That's true. Yes, that is true. That is one part of them. Oh man, Gorp. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really talked to Gorp that much, but Gorp isn't really. Well, Gorp describes himself as libertarian, right? But he's not voting for Trump. Things are usually all right, but on Ivy, all right. But an Israel Palestine course is insane. Well, like, yeah. All right, yeah. Probably try. Disavow. Let's go 2025. During the debate. However, 78% of the contributors' effort were members of last administration. Many of them are likely to be appointees. Again. I want to find... Ignore the first half of this video.
We need to explore the root causes. But when a mass shooting occurs, they call for banning all firearms immediately. Interesting.
What? Okay, I need a second. I was gonna do a Got It video, but give me a second. So the guy I've been accusing of using dog whistles to describe black people just equated mass shootings with black children. God.
Work
for the Heritage Foundation on their project.
Civilians. Oh yeah, here. I work for the Heritage
2025, which is in charge of staffing the next
military. Yeah, that's interesting.
Administration should Trump win. So in the last year of the administration, last year in the White House, I ran the personnel office, which is in charge of like hiring and firing 4,000 political appointees in the executive branch, anything from like the Secretary of Defense to like a scheduler. So we're kind of like thinking ahead, like if Trump wins in November, who are good people to get in, giving him like a team that's all rowing in the same direction to like really hit the ground running. Because, you know, when you have a candidate that like Trump, that's a little more.
Here, let me see if I can find it. What is this watermark from? Here.
I work for the Heritage Foundation.
Here we go.
On their Project 2025, which is in charge of staffing, around the personnel office, which is in charge of like high.
And it, I mean, I would assume he's working for Trump again. He works for the Heritage Foundation right now, so he probably will again. The group of authors include Russell Vought, who headed the Office of Management and Budget, Chris Miller, one of Trump's acting defense secretaries, and Ken Sunicelli, Mr. Trump's Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security. Now, I think they're part of Vox. Okay, yeah, I found it. Also, my stream is fucking lagging, but I can't fix it. I don't know. Sometimes my Wi-Fi shits itself, okay? There's nothing I can do. Oh, you gotta do something? Can't do shit about it. And Peter Navarro, a longtime Trump advisor who was closely involved in the ex-president's attempt to overturn the election. We've seen this move before. In 2016, ahead of Trump's first term, the Heritage Foundation released a released the 7th edition of its mandate for leadership. 1 year into his presidency, Mr. Trump had embraced 64% of its policy recommendations, ranging from leaving the Paris Climate Accords to raising military spending and to increase drilling and offshore from federal land. In the past, Trump has enacted, or I'll say Trump has worked closely with the Heritage Foundation and enacted 64% of the 7th edition of the Mandate for Leadership. Those policies in 2016 or 2017. I'll say in his first year in office. Based on Mr. Trump's campaign utterances and prior 2025 proposals, expect far more radical actions from a second Trump presidency. Relying on an analysis from the Center for American Progress and others below are 8 examples of how prior 2025 proposals could alter American life. Raise income tax on those earning less. Give me a second. Raise income taxes on those earning less. Project 2025 proposal to simplify the tax code by collapsing the complex system into 2 brackets, 15% and 30%, while eliminating most deductions, credits, and exclusions. Sounds good. The plan would also raise taxes. Sounds good. The plan would also raise taxes for American families making under $170,000 a year. I think, maybe we should read this well. The person who wrote this, Steve Ratner, I saw this post from the New York Times and it reminded me. His blog, he works for MSNBC, and he does he has a lot of good blog posts where he makes good charts and he breaks them down, and they're pretty short too. Project 2025's tax plan to simplify, or to, I guess simplify. I think it was income tax, right? It just says the tax code. Tax plant. System to only 2 brackets. 15%, 30%. It's also removing. It says most deductions, credits, and exclusions. Would raise taxes for American families making $170K a year. nearly tripling them for a family earning 75K, while also cutting them substantially for those with higher income. Oh, remember, Mr. Trump slashed corporate taxes at 21% from 35%. Project 2025 wants to reduce the rate even further, plus shrink the already low capital gains tax paid by the wealthy. Also reduces the corporate tax rate further, which is not super bad. Corporate tax rate. Corporate and capital gains tax. Parts of 2025 tax system currently benefit to wealthy. The plan would condense some brackets into just two, leading to higher taxes for rates of lower income Americans and lower rates of rich. Damn. Cap Medicaid. Oh, it's bold. Add work requirements and match Medicaid benefits to the beneficiary. Here, do they have this here? The Treasury should work with Congress. Okay, yeah. Okay, Project 2025 would slash Medicaid by imposing a lifetime cap on a length of time Americans can be enrolled in a program. The consequence would be a loss of Medicaid eligibility for as many as 20% of Americans currently enrolled, and those who remain eligible, work requirements would be imposed. I think I don't know if we read this full article before. We have definitely linked to it. And let's say the plan. The plan proposes adding a lifetime cap on the length of time Americans can remain Medicaid, which threatens as many as 20% of Americans currently and also adds work requirements for the people who remain. The impact varies, but would be greatest in some states that will be closely fought over in November's presidential election. For example, in Wisconsin, 41% of enrollees could lose their coverage. This measure isn't likely to be popular. 90% of Democrats and 65% of Republicans have a favorable opinion of Medicaid. Eliminate Head Start. Let's see. Son of people who could lose access. It varies across states. Would be greatest for Wisconsin's really the only swing state here. When was the last time Virginia went red? Eliminate Head Start. Head Start originally established and funded low-income families is fraught with scandal and abuse. With a budget of more than $11 billion, the program should function to protect and educate minors. Sadly, it has done exactly the opposite. Progress 2025 doesn't believe in group childcare. It proposes eliminating Head Start and giving the money to parents, either so a parent can afford to stay home with a child, or for a familial in-home childcare. I'm not completely opposed to this. I like giving money instead of in-kind benefits. That's fair. Given the cost and efficiency of group childcare, it's very hard to see how decreasing it's very hard to see how decreeing, Jesus, oh my god, I misread that. Decreeing that it's every family for itself would be preferable to Head Start. This may also be another case of bad political judgment. Head Start is highly utilized, particularly in rural counties, which ironically have higher shares of Trump voters. Jesus 2025 proposes. Eliminating Head Start and giving money to parents. For in-home. I guess that was a part. Yeah. In the context of a group childcare, it's very hard to see how decreeing that it's every family for itself would be preferable to Head Start. I don't know if I entirely agree with this. This is, if anything, somewhat close to a universal child allowance, which I think is probably a good policy. For revenue possibility for Title I funding overstays for a 10-year period. Project 2021 to phase out the $18 billion currently allocated to Title I, a key source of education aid, and return funding responsibility to states. That makes another policy change that would hit red states harder, because Title I provides public funding for high poverty public schools and charter schools, and red states disproportionately house boarded schools. The Center for American Progress estimates that this move could cost the nation 5.6% of all teacher jobs and as much as 12% of jobs in Louisiana. That would phase out $18 billion in funding. Dollars in Title I funding. Currently give federal education aid to poverty charter schools. For American Progress, this move could cost as much as 5.6% of all the nation's teaching jobs. And student loan forgiveness, obviously. Listen, I'm just saying. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm not the one who originally came up with it, but I forget who originally did come up with it. You can't tell me that if Biden told the head of the Department of Education to shred all the documents and delete all records of who owes student loan payments to the federal government, that would be outside the purview of the president's conclusive and preclusive constitutional authority, and therefore he is absolutely immune from criminal prosecution for that. you could just do that. They can't do shit. For any conversation Biden has with the head of the DOE, absolutely criminally immune. What are you going to do? And it can't even be reviewed by the court. So they can't. It's just like how Jeffrey Clark can't be prosecuted. Jeffrey Clark can't be prosecuted because the president is implicated in it. So it's unreviewable by the court. Any action the executive branches take, presumably, is also unreviewable. I shouldn't say any action the executive branches take. Any action like the president orders them to take is like, or the president's implicated in, it's unreviewable. They can't do shit. Can't do anything. Can't stop the DOJ from sending. Can't prosecute Jeffrey Clark for engaging in criminal conspiracy to defraud the United States. Can't stop Biden or whoever the head of the DOJ is. Sorry, DOE. You cannot stop Jennifer Granholm. Oh wait, what's Department of Education? Secretary of Education. You cannot stop Miguel Cardino from canceling all student loan debt. As an official act. Okay. Project 2025 would abandon President Biden's efforts to reduce the burden of student debt on young Americans. Existing borrowers would have to repay their loans per their existing terms. For new loans, any forgiveness would be eliminated. Borrowers would retire loans by paying 10% income above the poverty line. That would raise the monthly payments for those who never earned a college degree from $308 to $78. Bachelor's degrees would now have to pay nearly 3 times as much as they pay now. The plan. Was existing borrowers to repay their loans per their existing terms. Is that does that mean any debt Biden and forgive, they say, fuck it, you got to repay that again? For new loans, any loan forgiveness would be eliminated. Borrowers would retire loans by paying 10% income. Would raise monthly payments. On degree earners from $78 to $308. Sorry, bachelor's degree earners. Okay, I don't really care about the non-degree earners. That's just free earners. I'm gonna pay nearly react to what they pay now. Really, Notion? There we go. Repeal the IRA, of course. Can't have any of that climate funding. Conservative manifesto seeks to repeal large parts of the Inflation Reduction Act, which, despite its name, is principally aimed at facilitating a shift towards renewable energy. The legislation, which provides tax credits to stimulate conversion from fossil fuels, has been substantially more successful than its backers anticipated. Also on a chopping block, the government's power to negotiate drug price regulation. Yeah, okay, so and would repeal large parts of the IRA, which is primarily aimed at shifting towards green energy. Here, I think. Also, and the government's power to negotiate drug price reductions. And wants to repeal the bipartisan infrastructure law, which, after years of wrangling, is finally having an impact on crumbling roads, aging airports, and more. Also, repeal the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which finally happened. Ban the abortion pill. This is all about the Comstock Act. Part of the big thing I need to start doing more in debates or whatever is like a lot of time, like because I'll mention, you know, I don't really like Kamala Harris's unrealized gains tax. I don't really like the no tax on tips things either. But like, she needs the Senate for that. A lot of the policies that Trump wants to do, he does not really need the Senate or Congress to approve of. His tariffs, he can just do that unilaterally. Technically, the way Congress delegated the authority to the president to impose tariffs is that there has to be like a big national security concern. I imagine if he instituted really high tariffs, someone would probably sue him for it and say, hey, you don't have the authority to do this. However, given that the Supreme Court has been pretty favorable to him in the past, I really don't know how they would rule on that. I think they very well could rule in his favor on that, even for high tariffs on all countries that don't use the dollar. Yeah. And things like this, like the president technically can't unilaterally ban abortion. That's true. However, the Comstock app, I think it's called, basically prevents the mailing of things that can be used to facilitate an abortion. So if he could hardcore enforce the Comstock Act, he could effectively ban abortion nationally, because nobody could get chemical abortions pilled mailed, or doctors can't get materials for other types of abortions like the T and C abortions through the mail either, and all doctors need those supplies. So that's a little concerning. You can't mail coat hangers? Really? Like, are they going to be coat hanger abortions? Notwithstanding a Supreme Court decision last spring, prior to 2025 wants the Food and Drug Administration to ban the drug mifepristone, which blocks the hormone needed for pregnancy development. Since this approval, that and that of a compound drug in 2000, due to the medication is stored and now accounts for 63% of all abortions. Plan calls for the FDA to ban the mifepristone abortion pill. Now accounts for 63% of all abortions. Surgical abortion slowed down. Oh, it doesn't even mention the Comstock app. Okay, the Comstock. I think it's a Comstock. Yeah. I think Project 25 mentions this. Or I don't know if it approaches it this way, but the Contact Act could potentially be enforced to an extent. Not allow any materials that could be used. Abortions to be shipped. I think it's across state lines only. Bolster President Trump power. Mr. Trump has long argued that the deep state, by which he means the federal bureaucracy, stymied many of his policy initiatives. In 2020, he tried to address this real or imagined concern by reclassifying an estimated 50,000 civil servants as political appointees. President Biden appealed Mr. Trump's executive order. Now, Project 2025 wants it reinstated. Project 2025 would I spell reinstate. Reinstate. I spell schedule. Schedule F appointments. Which reclassified. This may sound like inside baseball, but it's a critically important issue. A huge number of political appointments, there are currently about 4,000, which substantially increase the presidential power. This would make them easier to fire and appoint. Greatly increasing presidential power. Over civil Crazy. I guess I'll screenshot this. Thanks, Notion. Why? Okay, well, I'm gonna pee. Hopefully this loads by the time I'm back. Here's a twerk break for you. Hey, I loaded. Let's go. Fire. Okay, and we have like 2 quick short posts before. Fuck, we might run out of time. We'll be fine. I want to make. I think I want to make like 2 or 3 shorts on immigration because people on Twitter are talking about it a lot. I feel like I could. Feel like those would go viral, even if viral. I feel like those would do well, even if it's for the wrong reasons. Even if it's because because right wingers don't like it. I'm convinced, by the way, that a lot of the immigration shit on Twitter is Russian talking points. I'm a million percent convinced. Not about like the border issues especially, but like about the immigrants are taking our job shit is happening on Twitter right now. I'm convinced that's the Russian talking point. You can't tell me it's not. No shot people believe that shit. Get more Trump lies. Donald Trump took a stage in North Carolina Wednesday to outline his economic program. As usual, 75-minute long performance included a mix of formal address and a semi-formal hysterical rant, which as usual also included a mix of fact and fiction. He claimed that during his presidency, we took hundreds of $1 billion from tariffs and Chinese imports, falls to just $89 billion. He said mortgage rates were 10 to 11%, falls to around 7%, depending on the duration. He claimed we never had inflation as high in the last 3 years. False, he should remember. Never had inflation as high in the last 3 years. False, you should remember well, the 1970s and early 1980s. You've seen the videos of the Venezuelan gangs taking over apartments. I've seen some of the videos. Constitution and G. You support that? I support immigration. I obviously don't support that specific thing. I think immigration is generally good. Obviously, there should be a limit on how many people can come, and obviously, we should embrace high skill immigration more than low skill immigration, even though low skill immigration still has benefits. But is that Russian propaganda? Could be. Like, it's very much a thing that happened, but that doesn't it's about a Jubilee episode ago, the Kirk get pwned. I mean, like, most of the people there were like obviously college kids who weren't prepared for Charlie Kirk's gotchas. There were some good owns that Charlie was owned on, though. But like, just because something really happened doesn't mean it's not Russian propaganda that it's spreading so much. Also, I'm being half ironic, but like most of the stuff Tim Pool covered really happened. Doesn't stop it from being like Russian propaganda. Like, it's meant to sow division. Yeah. Also, Russian propaganda isn't just on the right wing. Like, Russia was caught in 2020 having like Facebook pages for BLM. A lot of this stuff in BLM really happened. Like, there really were like black people murdered by police unjustly. That doesn't mean it's not Russian propaganda to have it all over the internet all the time, as these Facebook groups were doing to sow division. Yeah. Platform. Many lies, such as Having most of this claims was during his presidency, we had the strongest economy in history. And not only was the economy not as strong as history, it wasn't even as strong as has been during Joe Biden's presidency. Whether adjusted for COVID or not, economic growth was stronger than Biden's Trump, including the effects of COVID. The economy expanded at an average rate of 2.6% under Trump and 3.5% under Biden. Largest economy in history. But both GDP growth, GDP growth and job growth were high under Biden. Regardless of if it's included or excluded. Then there's energy. Trump claimed that when he left office, we were energy independent, and that we aren't anymore. That is the opposite of true. Yes, our levels of oil imports decreased during his term as part of a steady improvement in our energy improvement that began in the mid-2000s, but it was only the last year in office that we finally became a net exporter of oil for the first time since before 1950. Trump also claimed the U.S. was energy independent. So division worse than our own leaders and both sides putting up against each other. Our own leaders are Russian funded, buddy. But obviously, like, these play into each other. But Kamala and Trump both say stuff so bad about each other. They got people doing Jan 6 events. Well, that's because Trump wanted them to do Jan 6. We don't need Russia. But then change the bet. Well, Russia clearly thinks we do. They clearly interfere with the intent to sow division in American society. But these obviously play into each other. Like, both sides, I will say Republicans probably are more divisive than the Democrats, but both sides obviously say divisive shit. That's because that's a large part because people have gotten really used to and really drawn into divisive rhetoric. Also, J6 had nothing to do with the Democrats saying anything bad. J6 had to do with the fact that Trump wanted people to protest the certification of the vote so that he could overturn the election. Dude, just fine sowing your own division, brother? You might think that, but I think Russia's probably behind more than you think, buddy. That we aren't anymore. Only energy dependent on Trump. Yeah, I agree. You're right, Brad. Yes, last year in office. Following. In the mid 2000s. Wonder how many of the bots I see in the YouTube comment section. I don't know. The bots in YouTube comment sections, I don't think a lot of them are Russian, but a lot of them is promoting their own site. The ones that insult me, though, are all Russians. Once I found out both sides of the line. I mean, yeah, the bots are going to be in both sides, both of the extremes, really. Because, again, they're just meant to sow division. They're not even, like, really... They're not, like, always necessarily meant to promote, like, Russian interests for promoting right-wing anti-Ukraine talking points. They're just meant to sow division. But all the ones that insult me, they're Russian bots. Trump also attacked Biden for encouraging imports of oil from Venezuela, something he oddly focused on. He's correct that Venezuelan oil is very dirty and therefore particularly bad for the environment. But again, his facts are mixed up. The amount of oil that's imported from Venezuela has fallen dramatically under Biden compared to his level under Trump. Goddamn Russia commie bots. I mean, there definitely are Russian commie bots. 1,000,000%. Not really commie bots, but tanky bots. This is Biden. Oh, wait, this is the wrong fucking chart. Vegeta reacts. Fuck, where's Vegeta? Wait, how do I... Oh. Why is Vegeta reacts not here? I can do it manually.
Well, hello, everyone. It's your Prince of the motherfucking Saiyans! And I'm back again with another reaction video for all of you, and this is a brand new reaction. Oh, yes.
Why are you twerking? I don't want to see you twerking, hacker. Why is he playing patty cake? Daddy, daddy, do the Saiyan walk. How about you do the Prince walk? Such a stupid video. Dirty and environmentally. We're full. But oil. The fact. Those imports decreased dramatically. Biden. Finally, he dwelled at length as he generally does about crime and immigration, linking the two, as he also generally loves to do. Even though there's no linkage, first violent crime was dropped during 26% during Biden's term to the lowest level since at least before 2009, which of course means the crime was substantially lower than it was when Trump left office. Moreover, violent crime when Trump left office is almost exactly where it was when he arrived. Affluent immigrants playing crime. Legal immigrants commit less crime at a lower rate than native-borns, and undocumented immigrants commit crimes potentially lower. Either of the two groups, which isn't surprising. Undocumented immigrants don't want to get deported. Also rambled. Crime. Despite the fact, violent crimes dropped to 26% to the lowest level since before 2009. God, no shit. What is happening? Why? Why won't it save? What is happening? Notion, hello, save, finish saving so you can actually fucking work. Is it just because it was saving? Yeah, okay. I don't know why that happens. Don't take Trump's word for it. Check the data. Six concurrent viewers. Smash that like button, guys, and subscribe. Hell yeah, baby, let's go. Smash that like and sub button. Gruffle, I was waiting for my Notion to fix itself, and I just checked who was live on Twitch, and I clicked on Lactoid and I saw you chatting. Smash that like and sub button for more epic reading content. Let's go. I haven't even gotten to the super dense stuff today yet. Let's go. I can't wait till we read more about. I bought a whole book in capital gains taxation that we're gonna read. Okay, whole 200-page book on capital gains tax. You guys aren't ready for that one. Also, multiple books in UBI. Probably won't read all of those. I don't know if we'll read all of one. I'll probably select chapters to read from them and then read it. Wait until we get to the campaign finance stuff. I was going to do that today, but the opportunity cost is too high considering the debates coming up. So we're doing this. Also, Grumple, what are you doing immediately after the presidential debate? I might need a moderator. I didn't consider that till now, but. For 90 minutes last week, Donald Trump gave a rambling speech as he was accepting the Republican nomination for president for a third time. He used the opportunity, as well as the June debate for Biden, with President Biden, to repeat his favorite false claims and exaggerations. Me, yeah. Then Mr. Trump has a proclivity for saying untrue things, as well known. But in his latest campaign for the White House, I've been struck by what appears to be an escalation in both the frequency of Mr. Trump's lies and the outrageousness of his distortions. I need fucking sound soul to DM me back. If my tallest boy is done with the Karate Kids by then, I'll be covering the debate. Also, okay. I'm saying immediately after, but Biden going to resolve the campaign. What are we going to do? Mr. Trump, sure to ratchet up his falsehood, latent rhetoric. It's good to review his recent record of dishonesty. Jobs. Why the hell did I get taken down on Facebook and Trovo for the Jubilee video? Oh, really? Also, I did not change the title on Restream, I'm noticing. Oopsie daisy. Who are you debating? Right now, I have Minar down. And I think I have North down, but he just started streaming. I'm thinking what I want. Banned? I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Nobody watches on Facebook and nobody watches on Trovo. So, Clinton was a bad president? I don't know enough about him. The video is I get partially muted. Oh no, I'm good on Facebook, but I don't think I'm good on Trovo. Trovo was super weird when I started multi-streaming there too. They were very positive chatbots, no idea. Yeah, I don't know. I think I banned a lot of the chatbots, but nobody watches Trovo anyway, so it's fine. But it won't let me stream on Trovo, and I don't really know why. I'm assuming YouTube took me down for that Jubilee video, but I'm back up on YouTube, so I don't know. Obama's stimulus bill is only $700 billion too small. That is true. What was the slogan that people were chanting? The banks get bailed out, we get sold out. Remember the Occupy movement? Yeah, we get sold out.
Don't let Bloomberg close our schools.
Okay, what a horrible video. I don't know why I'm down on Trovo. Hopefully it fixes itself. Bank got so much bailout money and everyday people got next out. That's true. Well, okay. It's my money I want now. I don't, people argue like the moral hazard of the bank bailout thing, but like, most of those banks did not do well after the financial crisis. So Lehman Brothers was allowed to fail, right? They went bankrupt, right? Yeah. And then the other banks, to some extent, did get bailed out, but it's not like they're not like they did well. Didn't they? Like all their stock prices dipped and everything. I don't know how big of a moral hazard there is for this stuff, but there's not really. I'm not going to say there's zero, but I'm most likely be around after that. Okay, I might de-emulate it. I don't know. We'll see. Are counting hedge fund investment firms as banks? Well, they were investment banks, right? Were hedge funds bailed out? I don't know of any hedge funds that were bailed out. It wouldn't surprise me if they were, but banking industry got like $30 trillion. What do you mean they didn't do well? Do you mean, well, that was in quantitative easing though, right? They only got, the stimulus bill was only 700 billion. The quantitative easing might have been a lot, but that's quantitative easing, so it's different. We don't know how you feel about quantitative easing. QE is still a bailout that's providing liquidity. Okay, that's fair. Totally, their banks, but just like mere mortals can't go make a checking account. Like institutional banks might be better. Okay. The only jobs President Biden created for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs. They're bounced back from the COVID. Breathe manually? Oh, thanks, dude. I have ADHD. I'm going to forget as soon as I read the next sentence, bro. Under Trump, even excluding the impact of the COVID pre-pandemic, the economy generated an average of $182,000 a month, well below Mr. Biden's $270,000 jobs a month, excluding his post-pandemic bounce, and Bill Clinton's $242,000. Oh, I am going to read it every time I look at chat, though. Manually blinking. Good one. The manually blinking thing does not work nearly as well. I am manually breathing, but I'm not manually blinking. I forget about the blinking one too fast. Lehman failed because AIG owned all this massive debt that Lehman owed, so they got a massive bailout. Okay. I know my own spells work on me. Crazy. You have feet. What? Since it went for free? Allegedly. Okay, under Trump. Even excluding COVID. I don't understand why we let Lehman fail, either. But, well, it could have been... Lehman was the first to fail, right? When did the stimulus bill pass? Alright, I also got a bailout. October 3rd. Is the room half Republican or half Democrat? Am I colorblind? Yeah, that's what it is. We got the Republicans, we got the Democrats. Yep. It's called bisexual lighting. I'm straight. I mean, let them fail. Well, we didn't bail out. Well, Lehman Brothers actually stopped operating. Most of the other banks were given cash. Yeah, I'll start with excluding COVID. Economy generated an average annual rate of $2,000 a month. Under Trump, but $270,000 a month. Under Biden. God, it's happening again. What the fuck? Infrastructure bill was like only $100 billion up to $700 billion. Also, such a missed opportunity, massive. Wasn't it? I thought it was initially supposed to be $1 trillion, and it was cut down to $700 billion. I thought it ended up being $700 billion. I thought it started as $1 trillion, went to $700 billion. I saw a good graphic on it one time. Act was initially 700 billion. Okay, initially 700 billion. I wish the government gave me public twerks would be more effective. True. This amendment version included approximately $1.2 trillion of spending with $550 billion newly authorized spending. The amendment passed 69 to 30. So what's a trillion? What? Until Jason Furman became the chair of Obama's CEA in 2013, all the economists who were working for Obama were talking about the importance of balanced budgets. Yeah, I read a little bit of Krugman's book. I End This Depression Now. Would you ever do military analysis? No, I don't really do military analysis. I mean, like, I keep up with some of the like, I'm interested sometimes in like the war in Ukraine stuff and the war in Israel, I guess, but I don't do like day-by-day military analysis. I do like Ryan Macbeth's videos. He does a lot of stuff on disinformation about military stuff sometimes. They're pretty useful. I can leech off real military analysts by reacting to their content. But I never do that shit myself, bro. You were saying about Krugman's End of the Depression Now. Oh yeah, I read like the first like 30 pages of it before I realized I should probably read the other book first. Return to Depression Economics. Does he cover what's happening in Syria? Probably not. But isn't Syria in like a stalemate anyway? But I read like the first 30 pages or whatever. And he talked about in it, like a big reason Obama didn't do a bigger stimulus bill was just because they were worried about having the number like 1 trillion attached to the stimulus bill. And that would be like a talking point for Republicans where they could say 1 trillion. Obama spent $1 trillion. And they were worried about that. Inflation. I hate politics. Me too. It's killing people that can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You can't go to cost of food. It's double, triple, quadruple. They can't live. They're not living anymore. Truth, rising food prices are understandable, understandably in the minds of many Americans, but not a single item tracked by the government is more than 56% more expensive than it was when Mr. Biden took office. Well, grocery prices overall have gone up 21%. Backed by the PLS. People are dying of starvation. The price of groceries is too high. No, I can't believe it. Is food stamps adjusted for inflation? Just in annual in October to account for inflation. Okay. So yeah, I don't like literally. I don't know if there's a way you can't really starve. But grocery prices overall. Gone up 21%. Do all states have SNAP? It's a federal program. I think the way it's implemented in states is different, kind of like Medicare, but all states have it. Many of them refer to the program with different names. Would you ever get yourself into loads of debt and vote for someone who will inflate the economy? Absolutely. That'd be a good thing for you. You realize that, right? Inflation benefits people in debt because it makes the real value of your debt less. If I have debt, when I took out the debt, the money was worth X amount, and when I repay it, it's worth less. High inflation actually benefits people in debt. It also makes their real interest rate lower. You know, if I'm in debt and I'm paying an interest rate of 3%, but inflation's at 4%, the real interest rate there is actually negative 1%. So, if I was in a lot of debt, I would want someone to inflate the economy. That'd be good for me. Yeah, do that financially, benefit yourself. Exactly. That's why I'm voting for Joe Biden, even though I'm in no debt, really. Not me personally. Obviously, my parents have some debt. I don't know. I think on net, they'd probably not be in debt, but they obviously have like car loans and stuff. Consider inside trader voting. I'll also just mention grocery prices. I've also stagnated. I think I included 2 of these graphs in. It was incredible. We got the largest tax cuts in history. The most analytically valid method for measuring the size of a tax cut is to compare it with the size of the economy at the time. By the standard, Trump package was the 8th largest tax cut of the past century, well behind the cuts made by Ronald Reagan and Barack Obama signed the line. Of course, the Trump tax cuts benefit corporations that are wealthy. No GDP. I'm assuming by the size of the U.S. economy, doing GDP. What's tax cuts? Or only the I just had a genius idea, and I'll set this up next stream. Yo, real talk, what's up? I had a genius idea. I'll set this up next stream where I what I'll do is I'll have I'll how do I explain this? You see how like in this thing I have you can see my full screen and also like my webcam, I have my screen smaller so I can fit my webcam and shit. all that set up. So it's like this, but below the chat, did you already react to the Destiny Piers Morgan panel? Yeah, I did. Golden Sneaky. I'll have it uploaded by tonight or tomorrow. I'll have it set up so like you can see my full webcam like this, and the chat above, and behind the chat will be Subway Surfers gameplay and Minecraft parkour gameplay. That's fire idea just had. Anyway. So that way when I read, good idea, exactly. That way when I read, you guys have stuff to watch that doesn't cover my screen. Let's play it. That these are not the thing. Tax cuts spur the greatest economy we've ever seen just prior to COVID. The country's like never going before. We were already starting to pay down debt. That's not true in the slightest. The national debt grew considerably and at a faster rate under each year under Mr. Trump. His tax cuts helped drive the annual budget deficit to $1 trillion from 2019 to $608 billion in 2017, from $680 billion in 2017. Including the impact of the pandemic, the national debt increased $27 trillion from 19.8 trillion from during Mr. Trump's tenure. Considerably by $1 trillion to 680 billion. Trump. I'll have the including the impact of the pandemic thing there. Oh, this doesn't have one that excludes the COVID stuff. Tariffs. Tariffs are not going to drive prices higher. It's just going to cause countries that have been ripping off all for years, like China and many others. In all fairness to China, it's going to just force them to pay a lot less money. That's not... I don't know how tariffs works, and it's unbelievable that people would fall for that, but okay. Have you ever been subjected to relaxed hamstring tickle sensation while your quads triceps are tense? No, Jill Billy, I have not. I think luckily I've not. Buddy show. Cost of goods. Subjected to tariffs. Increased by nearly the full amount. Tariff. Duh. Tariffs are not. Explain tariffs. I know the basics of international trade, but they confuse me a little. Basically, A tariff is just a tax on an imported good. That's all it is. It's paid by U.S. businesses buying imported goods. Okay, they're not paid by China. That's bullshit. Trump knows that's bullshit. Some of the economists have told Trump that they are not paid by China, but paid by U.S. consumers and producers. That he has to know he's lying or he's literally psychotic. Okay, they're not paid by China. They're paid by the U.S. Okay, they're paid by U.S. businesses. What U.S. businesses often do is push that cost onto consumers. So they say, okay, well, we have a 10% tax on importing this product. We're just going to increase prices by 10%. Here, like this chart shows. Clearly, a lot of the cost is just pushed onto consumers. We spell paid. Oh wait, I'm stupid. Paid by. I know, but by U.S. consumers. Tariff graph. You can see. I don't know exactly if you know how the supply demand charts work. Here in this video might explain it. Basically, you're reducing consumer surplus, you're increasing producer surplus a little. Because consumers are going to have to pay more for prices. Consumers are going to have to pay more for Consumers are going to have to pay more for products. So that encourages people to buy products from America instead of globally, even if another country is selling a product selling for cheaper. Kind of. It's just that the US is never going to be competitive in like these markets. So like yeah. And then also IOR car crop model. This video might actually explain it.
Hi everybody, Jacob Reed here from ReviewEcon.com. Today we're going to be talking about international trade and tariffs. If after watching this video you still need a little more help, head over to ReviewEcon.com and pick up. So far within this unit, we've been focused on price on that y-axis and quantity on the x-axis. We have an upward sloping supply curve, downward sloping demand curve, but these are going to be our domestic supply and domestic demand now. So we're going to add D to the supply curve to make it domestic supply and D to the demand curve to make it domestic demand. Of course, we have our domestic equilibrium price and quantity as well. And when this comes the domestic equilibrium, but there is a global market for this product. And if that product has a world price that is lower than the domestic equilibrium price, then we are going to get a world supply curve within this market. And that world supply curve is going to be at the price determined by the world market. Under this international trade market that we're going to be learning today, we are going to be assuming that this country is too tiny to impact the overall supply and demand within the global market. So that means this economy can purchase as much quantity as it wants at the world price, PW. But if this country stays in a state of autarky, it will be independent and it will lose out on the rest of the price and quantity. On the supply price, QS is all that domestic producers are going to produce. But at that lower world price, QD is the quantity.
So you can see, this is there's a price. It would be if we didn't trade at all. With free trade, awesome, epic free trade, since the world price is here, the quantity demanded is here. So this is, I don't know exactly if you know how consumer surplus works. Basically, just think of it like everyone, like all these points of the demand curve are people, right? So this person here is willing to pay a higher price than equilibrium, okay? So it's this person here. They're willing to pay a higher price than equilibrium. What this means is that they have consumer surplus. The price they actually buy the product at is below the price that they are willing to pay. You talking about trading people now? Yeah, exactly. What you'll notice, I'm assuming he'll draw this at some point. What this is going to do is greatly increase consumer surplus. That's what free trade does.
That domestic consumers are going to demand. But since we are opening up to trade, we don't have a shortage here like we would normally have when prices are below equilibrium. Here, the difference is going to be imported. So consumers are actually going to get QD, even though QS is all that is going to be domestically produced. Now let's take a look at how that's going to impact our producer and consumer surplus. That used to be our triangle of producer surplus, but now that we have a lower world...
Obviously, this is producer because we're importing more. these are jobs that are going away. But really, I'll explain the Iowa car crop thing in a second.
And a lower domestically produced quantity, that is now all we have left of our producer surplus. Our consumer surplus, on the other hand, was that triangle there. But now at the lower world price, we get more consumer surplus. And it's not just going to take over the old producer surplus. It's also going to
expand here. So consumer surplus is bigger than the loss in producer surplus.
Extend all the way to QD. So we get that whole area right there of consumer surplus. And of course, if there were numbers, we could calculate the areas of producer and consumer surplus to determine their values. So there's our consumer surplus and there's our producer surplus when we open up to world trade with a lower world price. And so while producers are worse off, we're going to see greater economic surplus as a result of the trade when the world price is lower than the domestic price.
So total
Next, let's see what it
surplus
looks
is
like when we have
increasing.
a world price that is above the domestic equilibrium.
This is he explains the export thing, but we're really, when we talk about tariffs, we're usually talking about imports. But yeah, he goes over tariffs. You're increasing
and QD.
You're increasing the world price. So you can see this here. The world price used to be here, but the world price is now here because you're taxing it.
One is what.
So you're reducing overall surplus. This these two triangles here are going to be the deadweight loss.
That tariff. That is economic surplus.
This is economic surplus that would have existed, but it's now gone. Deadweight loss. It's evil.
That is lost forever as a result of the tariff. And so there you have all the parts labeled. You could calculate the value of all these areas if there were numbers here as well. But in the end, you need to know that tariffs.
And then so there are two things here that are important. So he did show, producer surplus is going up, right? Now it's going up less than consumer surplus is going down, but producer surplus is going up. There are two things that complicate that. One is the fact that like what Trump did, and Biden too. Biden also did this, okay? Bad when Biden did it too. Is he placed tariffs on things like steel, okay? Which is an input used for other things. Steel is used to make things here in the U.S. So the tariffs on steel under Trump did protect about 1,000 American steel jobs. Okay, awesome. That is true. However, because it made manufacturing in the U.S. more expensive because U.S. producers had to pay more for steel, what ended up happening is that 75,000 jobs were lost in U.S. manufacturing. So, although it protected steel jobs, it reduced a lot of other jobs because they relied on steel to make their products, right? Oh, and another thing, by the way, tariffs are incredibly regressive, meaning poor people are basically paying more as a percentage of their income than rich people are. They're an incredibly regressive way to raise revenue. So, not good at all for income inequality. It's really bad for income inequality. I can't, I don't know why. I guess their fucking site is down. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I have it memorized. It's also not other sites. Secondly, the Iowa car crop, okay? There are two ways to make cars in America. One, you can use steel, you can use all the inputs, and you can make a car in a factory in Detroit. The second way is you plant seeds in Iowa, you wait for the seeds to grow and become wheat, you put the wheat into container ships and sail them across the Pacific Ocean until they reach Japan, and a few months later, the ships come back with cars in them. From the perspective of U.S. interest, it doesn't really matter that Japan is a nation with a bunch of people in it. What matters, or we might as well assume that Japan is a factory with mysterious inner workings that transforms wheat into cars. That's what free trade is. It's a form of technology. It's a form of technology that, in this case, transforms wheat into cars. So, a tax or ban, a tariff or ban or import quota or whatever on U.S. car manufacturers in Detroit is hurting U.S. car manufacturers in Iowa. When you protect U.S. car makers in Detroit from competition, you harm Iowa car crop farmers because they are the competition. If that makes sense. Here, let's see how right I got it. There are two technologies for producing automobiles in America. One is to manufacture them in Detroit, and the other is to grow them in Iowa. Everyone knows about the first technology, only the second. And sail across the Pacific Ocean. Any policy designed to favor the first American technology over the second is a policy designed to favor American auto producer in Detroit over American auto producer in Iowa. A tax ban on imported automobiles is a tax ban on Iowa-grown automobiles. If you protect Detroit car makers from competition, then you must damage Iowa crop farmers because Iowa farmers are the competition. It is sheer superstition to think that an Iowa-grown car Camry is any less American than a Detroit-built Terrace. Terrace? I don't know. That policies are rooted in superstition do not frequently bear efficient fruit. Either way, they have to actually be paid with Canadian labor. The question will be, is it done directly or indirectly through trade? Yeah. Basically, there's this, a lot of people don't understand economics. Lump of labor fallacy. Oops. Oh, here. Lump of labor fallacy. Basically, the lump of labor fallacy is just assuming that if someone is better off, the other person must be worse off. So if China is benefiting from trade with us, we must be not benefiting from trade with China. That's not true. There are obviously cases where it can be mutually beneficial. Thank you. That guy's North. Thanks for the follow. There are obviously cases where trade can be mutually beneficial. That's why we do it. So the lump of labor fallacy is that. Lump and labor are two words that people don't normally put together. How would a lump of labor fallacy have people thinking? The lump of labor fallacy, the assumption is there's a fixed amount of work to be done. If they were true, new jobs could not be generated, just redistributed. LFAO. Let people believe the fallacy about themselves threatened by new technology or entrance of new people into the labor force. These fears are rooted. This is another reason why people are against immigration. Are rooted in mainstream. Started in a mistaken zero-sum view of the economy, which holds that when someone gains in a transaction, someone else loses, is a tempting idea. To some, because it seems to be true. For example, jobs can be lost in automation and immigration. However, that is not the full story. In reality, you watch my cooking stream. I clicked on it for a little bit, but I've been streaming for a while. But I did click on your stream when I saw you were cooking. I was really confused. Overshadowed by growth in another. And the labor force grows. Total employment increases too. Yeah. I was dissing Marx while he do broad space. Anyway, circular flow. Anyway, back to fucking that ship. Ukraine. European nations spent 100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. I don't actually know if they spent less than us now that we passed our second aid bill, but before we passed the second aid bill, they definitely spent more than us. Mr. Trump has his reverse. Well, the United States and Europe have spent roughly similar amounts the year after Russian invasion of Ukraine. Their aid continued to grow, ours flatlined, and Mr. Biden battled with isolationist Republicans, and finally, okay, crazy. Contributed roughly equivalent amounts this year the invasion before our aid flatline. Also, ours is even, when you consider that our GDP is higher than the EU, as a percent of GDP, we're lower. I think as a percent of GDP, we're lower than fucking like Lithuania. Oh, there's a chart by country. Where are we? The Denmark 1.3%. God, they're so based. We are down here. Yeah, below all these other countries. Probably even lower as like a percentage of military budget. How many casualties in the Ukraine war so far? I like 300,000 maybe? Or maybe more than that. How many dead in Ukraine war? Approaching 300,000. God, I'm always right. Oh, wounded, killed or wounded. It's nearing 500,000. Wait, you're dual casting? Cringe. I'm streaming everywhere, bro. I'm streaming to YouTube. I'm streaming to Twitch. I'm streaming to Kick. I'm streaming to Rumble. I'm streaming to Trovo. I'm streaming to Twitter. I'm streaming to Facebook, bro. Is the Trovo stream working now? Wait, what the fuck? What? Nobody watching Trovo, doesn't matter. Oh, Trovo stream is working now. Hell yeah. What's the issue? It's like your Avengers in-game is streaming on shitty platforms. Let's get into the call. I'm reading right now. I have to finish reading first. Also, I need fucking so-and-so to DM me back. SMH. Americans are getting squeezed out of labor force and their jobs are being taken. By the way, you know, who's taking jobs? The jobs are created. 107% of jobs are taken by illegal aliens. The monopoly lives are exactly real talk. I get so much money from Rumble, you don't even know. I get like 3 cents every time I stream on Rumble, baby. Free fucking money. They won't actually pay me out until I reach $50, and I'm like never getting there. But you know. They don't even it's not even like processed yet. Like they have the like they say my estimated revenue is $3, but my actual revenue is $0 because they don't actually like process how much revenue I actually made. But it doesn't really matter. It does not matter. I need the $3.60 I've earned off of Rumble. I'm almost monetized on YouTube. Just a few more viral Piers Morgan React videos, and I'll be there. I think I need like 500 watch hours for the lower tier YouTube monetization. I need a little bit more than 500. Damn. Truth, with unemployment having been below, at or below 4.1% for 30 months, we having shortage of workers, not in excess. The number of employed native-born Americans has grown meaningfully since 2019, but that's largely because of retirements, not from competition with immigrants. I got monetized for publishing Minecraft Bedrock tutorials based. I fucking spilled on my keyboard. Goddamn. I think we are at 4.2% now, but fine, that kid's constant. As long as my YouTube viewers keep liking and sub, sub, guys. As long as they keep doing that, we should be on track. But I didn't realize this until recently. When YouTube lowered their monetization requirements, they didn't fucking lower the monetization requirements. What they did is they made a new tier of monetization that gives you access to memberships and super chats, but doesn't give you ad revenue. Which is nobody's fucking. First of all, if somebody wants a super chat, they could already just donate in the link in the description below. So there's that, and the memberships is cool. But also just give me ad revenue. Ad revenue would be the only way I'd make like any money. It would be like 30 cents a month, but it'd be something. There's a recession with Kamala in office. Would it be? It would be a good recession. True. Hopefully. COVID was a good recession, so. Unironically, you could actually maybe argue that COVID was a good recession because of all the frying pan charts, because of the because we obviously overshot the COVID recovery. Like we made up for our lack of recovery in 2008. Unironically, you could argue that it was maybe a good thing. Now that real GDP has beat pre-COVID projections. Maybe you could argue it was a good thing. It was a good thing because it got government to spend in full employment. Exactly. Do you think it's unfair to say that Trump had a bad economy because the president ended with COVID? It's unfair to criticize him for jobs that were lost because of COVID, but I mean, even without COVID, he still had a not great economy compared to my man, Dark Brandon. I feel like his tax cuts did not really do much besides increase the deficit. They did not spur a ton of growth in the economy because tax cuts usually don't have a big effect on GDP growth overall. His GDP growth is lower. Was it without COVID? Yeah, his GDP growth was lower than Biden's with and without COVID. Yeah, you can see here like a funnel graph. This was like a meta-analysis of a bunch of different studies that looked at the effect of corporate tax cuts and GDP growth. They all hover around 0. They're not very big. Lowering corporate taxes was pretty base though. I don't know, like I don't really like corporate taxation that much. I don't like the way we do it, but I think it's bad to lower them with the expectation of growth without like doing anything to make up for that decrease in revenue. We should probably just replace it with a DBCFT. But I think Trump knows what a DBCFT is. So nobody knows what a DBCFT is. Actually, the Republicans proposed a DFT. I think it was under Trump. Order adjustment tax, though. I don't care about it. Yeah, that's true. I'm pretty sure this was proposed in 2017. In 2016, the Republican Party included... Okay. It was just in a policy paper. As of February 2017, the proposal was subject to heated debate. Okay, so I don't think it was never put to a vote or anything, but... Pico Trump's economy is pretty normal, spurred by the massive deficit. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like uniquely good or bad, but I think Biden's COVID recovery was really good. So, although I don't know. I think he had lower. I think we just read he had lower job growth than even like Clinton and Obama did, right? So, I don't know. More than Obama. I'm still buying Clinton. Trump pursued a reactionary Keynesianism at JFK, Reagan, Clinton, and Bush. Also pursued OMP. But his tariffs were out. To be fair, Biden has kept the tariffs in place and he's even expanded some of them. But his tariffs were also bad. Oh, the big thing. The unforgivable action, in my opinion. Trump pulled out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Trump pulled out of this, right? Yeah, Trump withdrew from this. God, it was a fucking free trade agreement between a bunch of different countries. It was a proposed trade agreement between 12 Pacific economies: Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, Vietnam, and the United States. You did, yeah. Damn, I forgot the TPP. Yeah, this was unforgivable. Okay. And they all fucking, I'm pretty sure that it went on to be signed, but with basically everyone except for us. So we just missed out for no good reason. Pulled out of Claire's climate accords too. That's true. I mean, we're talking about the economy right now. China took lead in it, did they? Yeah, it's on new negotiations. Yeah. It was a fiasco. Yeah, this is insane. Thoughts on UMCA as opposed to NAFTA? I mean, I haven't done like a ton of reading in it, but like, I will dogmatically support free trade. So NAFTA was probably better. Didn't really see a need to switch over to USMCA. I don't know. I know USMCA also had some better labor protections in it, but it also increased tariffs on things like cars, when I don't think there's any really good reason to do that, especially with Mexico. Tariffs on China, I can see, right? But on Mexico? Why? Or 30 months. And the number. Native border Americans has not grown meaningfully since 2019. But it's largely because of retirements. It was free trade agreement in a sense, but U.S. has massive agricultural subsidies that put 5 million Mexicans. Yeah, that is true. I think it was some unfair shit that went on there. Like we made Mexico. I think we made Mexico get rid of I think it was Article 27. I want to say in their constitution, which basically was also a farming subsidy. It like allowed farmers to work on Mexican land rent free, but then we got to keep our own farming subsidies, which that seems a little fucked. But yeah, I think it was that. NAFTA, Mexico, they're cold. Yeah, Article 27 in Mexico. Yeah, okay. I think we made it. It's not free trade if you allow subsidy for your own country, but not for others. Yeah, that's true. So that part is probably a little messed up. And there might be other parts like that. If USMCA wanted to get rid of that, and then not increase tariffs, I would have been in support of it, but also increase tariffs. Free trade has come to mean whatever trade agreement benefits the U.S. global hegemony. Speaking like a leftist right now, bro. Can you believe it? I don't know. The issue is I don't trust what I read from Noam Chomsky on free trade anymore. Because I don't think Noam Chomsky did particularly good analysis of it. But I did read this book, Bad Samaritans. This is a good book that goes over some of the shit that we're talking about here. Noam Chomsky, I know. It goes over here like, hey, sometimes we sign free trade agreements that are kind of unfair. Sometimes we sign sometimes the IMF gives loans to countries and they mandate balanced budgets, which I know you would be opposed to. Yeah. And here he has a section called Keynesianism for the rich, but monetarism for the poor, where he explains hey, a lot of rich countries when they hit economic crises, they do stimulus bills. But a lot of times the trade agreements and fucking trade agreements and IMF loans we give to these countries and allow them to do the same type of stimulus bills because we mandate a balanced budget. So it's Keynesianism for the rich, monetarism for the poor. From today could be big. What the fuck is this? Urges radical European Union reform requiring extra 800 billion euros a year. Industrial strategy increases competitiveness to boost social equity and meet climate targets. Proposal lays out a report to require between 750 billion and 800 billion euros in additional investments each year. Supply chain security and defense spending. Oh, defense spending based. EU's high-level trade open Italy would expose if trends continue towards supply chain autonomy and accelerate or continue. Roughly 4% of Europe's imports come from a small number of suppliers, which are difficult to replace, and around half of this volume originates from the country. EU austerity has destroyed Europe. Accurate. They're so fucked. They're so fucked. Oh, they're so fucked. Oh, look at these. Oh, man. The recovery from 2008 wasn't even that good, and compared to Europe, it looks like a fucking wet dream, bro. Can't cover it. Basic, can't see this. Our crime rate is going up, while crimes in the global world are going down because they're taking criminals and putting them in our countries. The European Central Bank could be prosecuted for committing crimes against humanity. Should be prosecuted for committing crimes against humanity against people of Europe. True. I'm pretty sure that, I guess it would be former head of the European Central Bank basically came out and said, like, hey, you know, we kind of fucked up with our 2008 recovery, you know. We kind of fucked up, you know, consumer growth has been way too slow for way too long. We might need to fucking course correct here. Yeah. Truth crime has declined since Mr. Biden's inauguration. The violent crime rate is now at the lowest point in more than 4 decades, and property crime is at the lowest point in many decades. All this. Violent crime. Low. And property crime is also its lowest level in many decades. Oh wait, oops. Presidential rankings. President Biden is without question the worst president. The worst presidency in the history of our country. Presidential greatness may be an eye to the beholder, but its association is lasted well. A recent survey, more than 150 current and former members of presidents and executive politics of American executive politics section of the American Political Science Association put Mr. Trump dead last behind James Butchman, tied with allowing the civil order to begin, and Andrew Johnson impeached like Mr. Trump and nearly convicted. Mr. Biden was ranked 14th grade, just above Woodrow Wilson and Ronald Reagan. Why is Obama better than Biden? Fuck that shit. How do I make it? How do I... It should be that, right? There we go.
And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States.
I guess mine is a little old. Maybe that's why. Obama, he's not quite as charismatic, and his brain is melting a little more than Obama's was. Obama's brain still has yet to melt. Fully, at least. Obama's not even that old. What is Obama? He's got to be almost 70. He's only 63. Oh, you don't want to come? Okay. He doesn't like being on stream. Well, do I want to take notes in this right now? Trump's Project 2025 agenda. Maybe I will. Maybe. Oops. Peru to Greenland. Colombia. Panama. Honduras. Or it doesn't really matter. Costa Rica. Honduras. Oops. If it's Nicaragua, then Honduras. It really doesn't matter what I do it in, but. Guatemala, Mexico, US. And then Canada to get to Greenland, I guess. Guess we don't own Greenland. It's just Donald Trump wants to. Ireland or Tanzania. So, I guess UK and France it counts as bordering, I think. Yeah. Fastest way from France to, I know I'm gonna need, obviously we're gonna need Israel at some point to get to Africa. So Syria and Turkey we're definitely gonna need, but I don't know if it's fastest to go through Bulgaria or fastest to go through Georgia and then Russia. I feel like Bulgaria is faster. Okay, good. Bulgaria and then Romania. Germany and Austria. Does that get me there? Austria, then Hungary. Okay, alright. In Sudan, South Sudan. And the DRC. Okay, just South Sudan. Boom, perfect, easy. God, never a challenge. Goated. see, okay, it's from Turkey 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus Turkey 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so really it was the same distance. So I would have been right either way. Like, couldn't I do 1, 2, 3? No, still. Okay, that's more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually goated. Okay, I don't know if we'll get through all this today, but we'll get through at least some of it. New way forward. Vice President Harris and Governor Walz are fighting for a new way forward that protects our fundamental freedom, strengthens our democracy, and ensures every person has the opportunity not just get by, but to get ahead. As prosecutor, attorney general, senator, and now Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris always stood up for the people against predators, scammers, and powerful interests. She promises to be a president for all Americans, a president who unites us around our highest aspirations, and a president who always fights for the American people. From the courthouse to the White House, that has been her life's work. Build an opportunity economy and lower costs for families. Let me actually make this. Heading 2. What the hell is going on? We're just reading Kamala's page right now. Should not be that confusing. Vice President Harris grew up in a middle-class home as the daughter of a working mom. She believes that when the middle class is strong, America is strong. That's why as President, Kamala Harris will create an opportunity economy where everyone has a chance to compete and a chance to succeed, whether they live in a rural area, small town, or big city. Vice President Kamala Harris has made it clear that building up the middle class will be a defining goal for her presidency. That's why she'll make it a top priority to bring costs down and increase economic security for all Americans. Rate each proposal on usurpation. Yeah, I'm not doing that. That's why she'll make it a top priority to bring down the cost and increase the economic security for all Americans. As president, she will fight to cut taxes from more than 100 million working middle-class Americans while lowering the cost of everyday needs like healthcare, housing, and groceries. She will bring together organized labor and workers, small business owners, entrepreneurs, and American companies to create good-paying jobs, grow the economy, and ensure that America continue to lead the world. Jesus. Localists, do you think Trump imposing 100% tariff on all countries that don't use a dollar is constitutional without the approval of Congress? Because that's what he wants to do. Cut taxes for middle-class families. Vice President Aaron Governor Walz believe working families deserve a break. That's why under the plan, more than 100 million middle-class and American workers will get a tax cut. They will do this by Congress can't tell him no. Well, the reason the president arguably has the authority right now is Congress delegated that authority to him. Congress didn't tell him no. Congress delegated the authority to him with whatever I should remember the name of the bill. With whatever act that lets him enact tariffs in countries without the approval of Congress for like national security concerns. Although, I don't know if that would extend to every single country that does not use the dollar. And he said he wants a tariff on all imports. Not even just, he said like a 10% tariffs on all imports and then like 60% from China. I would imagine there's a chance the Supreme Court ends up striking that down. Or like you said, Congress, I think, can tell them no. Yeah. I guess they could repeal them. If there's a will, there's a way. But all the Kamala's proposals are unconstitutional. But, you know, Trump can do whatever he wants. He gets graded on the curve. What we do is by restoring 2 tax sources designed to help middle-class working Americans. The child tax credit and the earned income child tax credit. Okay, so child tax credit. Provide $600 tax credit for family of newborn children. Earned income tax credit. Let's say will be expanded. It doesn't mention by how much. Unlike Donald Trump, Vice President Harris is also committed to ensuring no one earning less than $400,000 a year will pay more in taxes. They believe that we need to chart a new way forward by making our tax system fairer and prioritizing investment and innovation. They will ensure that the wealthy Americans and large corporations pay their fair share, so we can take the action to build up the middle class while reducing the deficit. This includes rolling back Trump's taxes for the wealthiest Americans, enacting a billionaire minimum tax. Boo, boo. Quadrupling the tax stock on stock buybacks, and other reforms to ensure the wealthy are playing by the same rules as the middle class. Back Trump tax cuts. And enact a minimum tax. And triple the tax and stock buybacks. I could maybe see the stock buyback thing, but under our plan, a tax rate on long-term capital gains for those earning $1 million a year will be more than 28%, because the government can encourage investment. So the government encourages investment, it leads to broad-based economic growth and creates jobs, making our economy stronger. Make rent more affordable and homeownership more attainable. Vice President Harris has always stood up for homeowners. As Attorney General of California, she took on a big blah, 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 blah. Vice President Harris knows that a home is more than a house. It represents financial security and opportunity to build intergenerational wealth. For too many Americans, home ownership is too far out of reach. Vice President Harris has put forward a comprehensive plan to build build 3 million new homes, mega-based. You will cut red tape and make sure we build more homes faster and penalize firms that hoard available homes to drive up the price for local home buyers. Really can't figure out what I'm trying to type Google. Build 3 million new homes. Cut red tape. Do housing construction. Can be penalize firms that hoard available homes to dry up price for local home buyers. I don't know exactly how she's going to do that, but all right. As new homes are built and affordable housing supply increases, provide first-time home buyers with $25,000 down payment assistance. More generous support for first-generation home buyers. This will help more Americans experience the pride of home ownership and the financial security that it represents and brings, offering more Americans a path to middle class and economic opportunity. Grow small businesses and invest in entrepreneurs. $5 billion is going to wall, so not small business, neighborhood shops, high-tech startups, and small manufacturers are more and more the engine of our economy. Just as you did, Senator Vice President Harris will always support small business and invest in entrepreneurs. President, she led the Biden-Harris administration efforts to increase capital for small business and bring venture capital to parts of middle America for too long and have been overlooked, driving up a record 19 million new business applications, tripling the Small Business Administration's lending to black-owned businesses, and more than doubling small dollar lending to Latino woman-owned businesses. She has also championed expanding federal contracts for minority-owned small business as part of her opportunity economy agenda. She put forth a plan to help small business entrepreneurs innovate and grow. Ambitious goal of 25 million new businesses by the end of her first term, over 10 million more than Trump saw during his first term. To help achieve this, she will expand the startup expense tax deduction for new businesses from $5,000 to $50,000. And take the everyday obstacles and red tape that can make it harder to grow a small business. She will drive venture capital to talent across the county, including rural areas, and increase the share of federal contract dollars going to small businesses. Take on bad actors and bring down costs. As the Attorney General of California, Kamala Harris took on the big banks to deliver for homeowners, stood up. Opinion on the Dem plan on unrealized gain tax, I think it's cringe. You consider it to cause market sabotage by constant selling of stocks? Yeah. That would normally be helpful in a long term. Yep. I think it's cringe. Probably not likely to happen, though. No opinion wrote a new article about it. He has a previous blog post that we read in it, along with a lot of other stuff on that unrealized gains tax. But it's a paid article, so I don't think I can read it, even though it's probably a good article. Unrealized gain taxes are pointless assets. Yeah, but I don't think it's paid. He might make it unpaid later, so we'll see. My only hope is that there's an archived version of this, but it just came out like today, or 2 days ago. It's probably not. Yeah. Nothing can get past the fucking Substack paywall, so. On it so painfully slow. What, that's it? I thought there were more snapshots. But I don't think any of them will have the paywall removed. Sometimes you get lucky and someone like I don't know exactly how it works, but there have been times where I use like Internet Archive stuff and it has the paywall removed on it. Because I'm assuming people who pay for it can like snapshot it some way without the paywall, but it's like fucking $10 a month, bro. Do the Dem plan to reimburse unrealized capital losses? I didn't see their exact plan for it, but yeah, I understand that's an issue That's an issue with unrealized gains taxes, which is how do you treat unrealized losses? Do you give them a tax credit, or do you give them a check, or what do you do? Spell his name here, please. Who? No opinion. What? That. What? President issued a direct administration to crack down on anything from the process that let big corporations jack up prices and undermine the competition that allows businesses to thrive while keeping prices low for consumers. And she will go after bad actors who exploit emergency to rip off consumers by calling for the first ever federal ban on corporate price gouging on food and groceries, which built up in the anti-price gouging statutes that are already in place in 37 states. Okay. Administration to crack down on anti-competitive practices. Keep prices high. Next. Was the federal government to monopolize healthcare? Does he even put forth a healthcare plan? I don't think he should put forth a healthcare plan. I think universal healthcare is good. There are better and worse ways to do it. I'm probably more in favor of a multi-payer system than I am a single-payer system, but like, should obviously have a public option. Port State Biden admin has got bad press for freedom. Has got bad press for freedom. Do you think they will get worse under Kamala? Oh, sorry, has been bad for press freedom. Jesus, I read that horribly. Think it will get worse under Kamala? How has Biden been bad for press freedom? I don't know. I think a lot of the issue with a lot of the Biden stuff is that during COVID there was a fuck ton of misinformation spreading, right? Most of the criticism for Biden was over like the misinformation over COVID, and I guess the Hunter Biden laptop stuff. But I don't see a reason why it would get worse under Kamala. Also, conservatives wanted to get rid of Section 230 for social media platforms, which would have been an anti-free speech thing that would have treated social media sites as publishers, so you'd be able to like sue them for misinformation on it, right? If they'd be held liable for everything published on it, which is fucking dumb. What have been a core price gouging in food and groceries? Presidential thing on big pharma, low drug prices. Looking at a TikTok ban to try and manage public opinion at some point. Look at using TikTok ban. The TikTok ban is not just about public opinion. It might be about it to some extent, but the big concern there is that it's being influenced by China in some way. Like it's not like just because it's not just because of a public opinion thing. It's because that public opinion is being influenced by China. It's the allegation, at least, and like from the we can kind of tell that there's a lot more pro-China content on TikTok relative to other platforms like Instagram Reels. So they're probably to some extent being influenced. I think I'm like TikTok is a media source for younger generations. Well, yeah, but the reason that's a problem is because of the potential Chinese influence there, right? It's still in the court whether or not it's actually constitutional to ban it, right? I'm not like super in favor of a TikTok ban. I need to see more evidence that China is actually influencing it. We did read that report from some internet research agency. Like in Russia, the internet research agency. It was like some private internet research agency that concluded that like, hey, there are far more hashtags with pro-Chinese talking points relative to Instagram Reels, which is kind of suspicious. So there might be something there, but we probably need to see more data on it. More evidence for it. Otherwise, I'm not really in favor of a TikTok ban. This is cause of Gen Z dog. True. Take on big pharma to lower drug prices. And cap insulin cost. All Americans, not just seniors. Keep running down, take on pharmacy middlemen who also raise consumer prices, squeeze independent pharmacy profits. Strengthening and bring down the cost of healthcare. As Attorney General of California, Kamala Harris took on insurance companies like Big Pharma, and Big Pharma, and got them to lower prices. As Senator, she fought Donald Trump's attempts to repeal the Affordable Care Act. Vice President Harris will make affordable care a right, not a privilege, expanding and strengthening the Affordable Care Act, and making the Biden-Harris tax credit enhancements that are lowering healthcare premiums by an average of $800 a year for a million Americans. Expand the ACA and to continue. Make Biden tax enhancements that are lowering the by the more data admonishing creators of criticism of the U.S. and its allies, they're having a foothold. Spell permanent. Real and Biden-Harris administration successes of that. Extended $35 cup of insulin and $2,000 out of pocket. I'm gonna ban you again, dude. Tie-breaking vote in the Inflation Reduction Act gave Medicare the power to go toe-to-toe with Big Pharma and negotiate lower drug prices. As president, she'll accelerate the negotiation to cover more drug prices and lower prices for Americans. As president, she'll also announce that medical debt will be removed from credit reports and help cancel $7 billion of medical debt for 3 million Americans. The president should work with states to cancel medical debt for even more Americans. I don't know why anyone pro small business would support a TikTok ban. Again, because the issue is the Chinese influence that's potentially there. And Vice President Harris, are you going to be doing a live reaction to the election results? Yeah. Do you regularly stream? Yeah, I stream pretty regularly, almost every day. I get lazy sometimes, but yeah. Vice President called on states to expand Medicare postpartum for today, 46 states. Do so up from just 3. Name the emergency start. Taxing strengthen. Social Security and Medicare. Also, welcome to the stream, Fleet Tact. I forgot to welcome you. Welcome, welcome. Vice President Harris will protect Social Security and Medicare from relentless attacks from Donald Trump and his extreme allies. She was taking Social Security and Medicare for the long haul by making millions and billionaires pay for taxes. Okay, so, like... probably just removing the cap, right? Isn't that already gone from Medicare, though? But It's a debunkable point that has little to do with what it actually tries to achieve. You are naive. What is a debunkable point there? What's debunkable about it? I'm not convinced that it is fully there, but I'm also not convinced that it's not there. We read this full report. You can see TikTok posted percent of Instagram posts for control groups. The ratio is relatively similar, but for Chinese sensitive topics, the ratio is completely off between Instagram Reels and TikTok. So you can see like pop culture. This ratio would be expected based on Instagram's larger base. Pro-China talking points driving China influence being main concern of US. What's debunkable about that? But you can see we would expect like a lot of these ratios to be about 2.2. What is this one about? Oh, this is political hashtag. Political in general is about the same, but then like specifically for Uyghur stuff, there's way more in TikTok. On Instagram than there's in TikTok, and then for Tibet stuff, way more Instagram than TikTok. Tiananmen Square, way more in Instagram than TikTok. Same thing with Taiwan. Then eventually you get to Kashmir. Yeah, Kashmir way more in TikTok than Instagram. And it's a few other things like Palestine and Ukraine that I think are... Oh, and this is another thing. It's not relevant? How is it not relevant? Here's another thing. After they released their data on this, they TikTok removed the search functionality for these hashtags. They kept the bring them home. Which is a little suspicious. Yeah, I know. After relating this report to TikTok's Ag Manager, the portal underwent changes seemingly aimed at deliberately obscuring information presented. TikTok removed the ability for public to search hashtags. TikTok removed trained data for China-relevant hashtags. Like, they didn't remove the data from GTA 5, but they did for... I guess they'd also do it for secure embargo move. They did for, like, all of these, like, political hashtags. Yeah. Once like TikTok tries to the CCP to be investigated, Instagram loses popularity. What do you mean? Instagram has larger user base than TikTok. TikTok has more functions than Instagram. Wow, that's totally irrelevant. Yeah, this one doesn't make sense at all. The stand with Kashmir is like super a million times bigger on TikTok than Instagram, so it really makes sense. People use a stupid ass argument, well, it's banned in China, like that makes anything more scary. About it being used for our platform. Yeah, TikTok is any less scary. It doesn't really make sense. Massive overrepresentation of stand with Kashmir hashtags should not be understated. It outweighs the sum of all other political hashtags in our sample put together by an order of magnitude. BLM only received a peak of 50 million posts on Twitter. It is not. People use TikTok more for political and educational, but you realize they account for this in this data, right? That's also not even true. We have the data right here. People use TikTok. Look, hashtags for Trump more on Instagram than TikTok. That's just totally not true at all. You're just factually wrong on that. Debunked in real time. Epically Ben Shapiro owned. In real time. BLM more on Instagram than TikTok. Donald Trump more on Instagram than TikTok. Like all of these MAGA more on Instagram than TikTok. Are there any of these that are bigger? Trump 2024 is bigger on TikTok and Instagram, but I think that's literally it. That's about the same. Yeah. Only, oh wait, they have the ratio right here. Yeah. Only this one is bigger on TikTok, and this one is 1-to-1. So, you know, TikTok is about, as education is about high school. So, you're wrong on that. Don't know what to tell you. But I'd probably, I think TikTok went through congressional hearings. There probably needs to be more data presented, but I'm not convinced that it's not there. I'm not convinced that it's totally debunkable that it is there. I don't know how else we would explain these ratios other than the fact that they removed all these hashtags after the data was released. That doesn't they're clearly trying to hide something. What's happening, Fawn? Who's hiding what? Allegedly, TikTok is hiding any potential Chinese political influence on TikTok because after this report was released comparing the number of hashtags on Instagram versus TikTok for Chinese sensitive topics versus pop culture stuff and generally political topics, they said, we're not letting you compare hashtags. We're not releasing the data on these hashtags anymore. You can see all of these hashtags that were analyzed for political stuff is almost all of them have been removed. Whereas the pop culture ones, a lot less of them are removed. So, support for American innovation workers. Working on President Biden, Vice President Harris helped Pence landmark legislation, a bipartisan infrastructure bill or law. Probably write that down. American. Little relevance to what people think about China-related topics. It is it's relevant for U.S. celebrated topics, and that's why they want to ban it. What? Do Chinese hashtags have high engagement? I don't know. I don't think they measure that. I don't know if there would be a way to measure that. At least not anymore. Okay, yep, that. Okay, this has been include investing in that, investing. Yep, okay. Yep, that's what you did. That's what you did. Okay, as President, Kamala Harris will build on this administration progress to ensure American industries and workers thrive. Vice President Harris will continue to support American leadership in semiconductors, clean energy, AI, and other cutting-edge industries of the future. She will also fight for unions because as Vice President in the most pro-labor administration history, she knows that unions are the backbone of middle class. She'll sign landmark. Okay, so sign landmark union legislation, including a PRO Act. During the leadership of Vice President, unions representing those from auto workers, record wage increases. Vice President Harris will not tolerate unfair practices from China or any competitor on the American workforce. Fight to raise the minimum wage and sub-minimum wages for tip workers and people with disabilities. Establish paid family and medical leave and eliminate taxes and tips. Want to ban U.S. for losing information war and helping highlight U.S. imperial actions and cause a narrative counter to... I just showed... The concern is the potential Chinese influence. I just showed you that there's definitely a case to be made that there's potential Chinese influence over TikTok. You can keep repeating the same thing over and over again. Doesn't make it any less true that there seems to be evidence that TikTok could potentially be influenced by China or even like Russia. Yeah, that's the concern there. Obviously, a lot of that information that's potentially being spread, that's propaganda, is like anti-US propaganda, because that plays into China's interest, right? Like, yeah. At the very least, it sows divisiveness in the US, and that can benefit them. It is irrelevant for U.S. public what tags related to China flourish or not. You realize that they're not even, when it says China sensitive, it's not even specifically like China. Like it has the Israel-Palestine stuff there. Like it shows that like pro-Palestine content is way bigger on TikTok than it is on Instagram, which doesn't really make sense. Absent some type of influence. The pathway to the middle class through quality, affordable education. You are naive F. Good one, bro. I don't get it. Stay affordable education. Vice President Harris will ensure parents can afford high-quality childcare and free school for their children. She will strengthen public education, pathway to the middle class. She'll continue working. You should want a counter to U.S. endorsed media. I feel like I've been entirely charitable to the counters here. Like when all the articles about TikTok were coming out, I didn't read the U.S. endorsed media. I read the actual full, like, 20-page report, my guy. I very specifically read the thing that they were, like, all citing to, like, know what I said myself. And, like, this entire time, I've been, like, I'm not even, entirely convinced that there is a, I guess, like, I should say, like, top-down Chinese influence. It could just be the case that the site is infested with Russian and Chinese bots. And not, and it's not like a top-down, like, CCP, like, Chinese conspiracy. But there's clearly a concern over the information being disseminated there. I would say it's obviously a genuine concern can be made there. Yeah. I think it should be investigated. And if there is found to be significant Chinese influence or Russian influence through bots or whatever, through bot networks, then they probably should be banned. Some of it has to do with how the data is handled too, because we were concerned for a little bit. Some of the data for creators is being held on Chinese servers. Like I think like social security information was being held on like Chinese servers, and we didn't like that. Yeah, even though most of their data is stored on US servers. I think all the user data is stored on US servers, but some of the creator data was stored on Chinese servers, and that we were concerned about too. That's why it's banned on federal devices. They have lots of embedded yes, viewers, oh no way. They have lots of embedded former US Secretary of State employees in X Meta. Okay. That kind of makes sense. Like there's a revolving door. That revolving door can be an issue, but like that kind of make like I would imagine people who work for the federal government are sometimes qualified to serve similar roles in the private sector, and that includes working in Meta or X. Okay. President Harris will fight to ensure patents can be parents can afford high quality. Okay, so continue student loan. Yep. Again, Biden should have the courage to tell the Department of Education head, Secretary of Education, to destroy all records of people who owe student loan debt. He should have the courage to do that. What are they going to do? He's absolutely immune from that. They can't do shit about it. Provide nearly 170 billion. Student debt relief for $5 million. She helps students increase the Pell Grant. Okay, that's the policy. Okay, so continue and expand Pell Grants. What was the other thing? And HBCUs? What is this? Oh, historically black college university. Okay. So for international U.S. certificates, you should trust U.S. endorsed media or TikTok with all the potential Chinese information and manipulation. Are you asking me whether I trust U.S. like mainstream media over TikTok? Yeah, I trust most mainstream media networks over TikTok. Yeah. I don't know what you mean by US endorsed media. Like, if it's between the New York Times and TikTok, I'm going to say New York Times probably gets it more correct than TikTok about 90% of the time. Yeah. I'm going to have to do that. I say as to allow freedom of expression on there. What? I say as to allow freedom of expression on there. Do you mean on TikTok? Again, the concern of TikTok is that U.S. people aren't really using it to, or U.S. citizens aren't just using it as a tool for freedom of expression. They're getting misleading information from malicious actors in China. That's the concern there. That should be weighed against the First Amendment concern there on your side, obviously. But yeah. Invest in affordable childcare and long-term. After the sign of American Rescue Plan, we've had historic investments in the care economy. Fight to lower costs for American families, including expanding high-quality home care services for seniors and people with disabilities, and ensuring hardworking families can afford childcare. You trust U.S. government is not malicious. Hold on. It's funny that I said, like, I actually never said anything close to I trust the U.S. government is not malicious. I don't think I ever said that. I don't think those words ever came out of my mouth. But I said it's between TikTok and the New York Times and other mainstream media outlets. I'm going to say the mainstream media outlets get it right about 80 to 90% of the time over TikTok. That was what I said. If it ain't Reuters or AP, I don't want to insert trade column. Yeah, I'm going to say like Reuters, like New York Times, like Associated Press. Like these people are probably more right about an issue than TikTok 90% of the time. That would be my position. Not the U.S. government isn't malicious. Lower energy cost, and actual climate crisis. As the Attorney General called merits $110 million for settlement to get big oil store work. As President, she would unite Americans to tackle climate crisis. She builds in historic work, advances environmental justice, protects public land and public health, increases resilience to climate disasters, lowers housing industry costs. Okay, how? Does not actually have a specific policy here. All it says is like what's this? Reread, I said, in relation to what you can post and show on TikTok as opposed to mainstream media and X, meta censorship allows you to promote. You trust U.S. government is not malicious, not trusting quality, but in relation to what they can piss. It's hard when your sentences are grammatically incorrect and things are spelled wrong. to understand what you mean. So freedom of expression. In relation to what you can post and show on TikTok as opposed to me. I mean, anecdotally, I have much more issues posting on TikTok than I do on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram Reels even. I've had way more videos taken down on TikTok because TikTok is super overly restrictive of what you can put. Dude, you can't say anything in TikTok. You can't say like white people. You can't say Hamas in TikTok. You can't say shit on TikTok, dude, okay? You can't say retard. You can't say any slurs. You can't even say Hamas or like anything, okay? It's yeah. I don't like the idea that like Twitter doesn't take down like pro-Palestine content or anything. Thoughts on transhumanism? I don't have any strong opinions on it. It's probably some level of it is probably good, some level of it is probably bad. You can't say Tiananmen Square. Yeah, like yeah, exactly. Like I like I'm the censorship on TikTok is definitely bigger than the censorship on X. And I don't really know about Facebook, but like go to any TikTok live stream and listen to the way people are talking. They have to say YT people instead of white people. They have to say H group instead of Hamas. They have to say grape instead of rape. They have to say like all of these things. They have to say unalive. You can't say kill or dead. You have to say unalive. I didn't know until yesterday that Elon was the founder of OpenAI. Really? Yeah, he was. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like the censorship on TikTok is way worse. Also, TikTok as a platform is just way infinitely more annoying as a creator, okay? As a small content creator like myself, TikTok is unbelievably dog shit. But that's not a reason for it to be banned, obviously. That's just me not liking TikTok. You know how many times I've been banned on TikTok because I try to live stream on there? And they banned me for saying stupid thing. Dude, I put bikini time on stream. They banned me for this. You see this? They banned me for this. This is what was so offensive to them that they banned me. Are you kidding me? You're gonna tell me that the censorship is worse on X, where you can post literal fucking porn as much as you want. You can post so much porn. So many people promote their OnlyFans, but this was too much for TikTok. I don't want to hear it. Bikini? Yes, the bikini woman. This is what bikini time. This is what they don't like it. They didn't like it. They banned me for sexual content, okay? They did not like She-Hulk in a bikini. They don't like twerk break. You can post this GIF anywhere but TikTok, okay? Twitch doesn't care. YouTube doesn't care. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about this GIF except for TikTok, okay? Same thing with parse black man egg GIF. Anything where he's scrolling down through short form videos is brain rot and species. That's not my opinion. Yeah. I don't remember specifically what they banned me for. I don't think they said specifically what they banned me for, but it was one of those three GIFs, all of which are perfectly fine everywhere else. Nobody else cares. Instagram. I used to live stream to Instagram as well. I don't anymore because it's fucking annoying too. But it's less annoying to stream to Instagram than TikTok, which is kind of crazy. But why do U.S. establishment figures complain about losing control of the narrative due to TikTok? Then it's fine. Like, I don't know. I watched that one clip from, was it Anthony Blinken saying that? Again, the concern is that the narrative is coming from Chinese influence or like Russian influence. It's coming from malicious actors. The concern is it's coming from malicious actors. It's not just over the narrative. I think boomers are the last good generation. No. Gen Z is obviously better than boomers because we're based. Well, half of us are socialists, so that part is cringe. But the half of us that are liberals are good. Millennials are chill. But they don't support Israel. I feel like millennials support Israel is relatively high. Zoomers better than boomers, obviously, bro. I can't believe this fucking. Nearly a tenth of the eligible in Tennessee cannot vote due to a prior felony conviction. Here, 10 states with the highest rated. Damn. Why'd they make Arizona purple? Oh, it was swing state. Okay, that makes sense. Never mind. I was confused. I think RT is superior to any U.S. mainstream media for showing the truth. I don't like. It's just you're retarded. I hate to break it to you. You're brain broken. You're brain broken. You're brain broken and retarded. I like. I don't know how to break it to you. We compare the accuracy of RT to major mainstream media outlets in the US. Mainstream media outlets are going to beat RT like 80 to 90% of the time. I don't know what to tell. Dude, RT was funding fucking Dave Rubin and Benny Johnson and Tim Pool. Do you think those people were accurate about anything they reported on? Accuracy measure. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you don't trust any of the indexes for this stuff because they're all US funded, right? Also, you have to admit that you were wrong on the fucking on TikTok being more commonly used for politics. You were just dead wrong on that. You were 1 million provably percent wrong. 1 million percent provably wrong on that. Media controlled by dictatorship is generally much better than media controlled by free press. Yeah, I know. Not really. I hate them. I don't care about the content being anti-US narratives in international politics. Okay. Everyone's brain broken but me. I'm being ironic, but I think RT was reporting that Russia wouldn't invade Ukraine before they invaded Ukraine. I bet RT was reporting on that. Senegal to Indonesia. So Malaysia, Thailand. You don't look for truth in it. You understand that they were being funded by Russia. That's my point. They were being funded by RT. That's my point. Is that you don't trust them, but they were being funded by RT. That's the issue there. That doesn't seem like that kind of suggests that RT is probably not trying to promote a super truthful narrative. Don't you think that don't you think that's an implication that we could potentially draw from that? They're probably not as concerned with truth as they are with divisiveness. Who cares? Israel does. You can make the same point about Israel. That's fine. Whatever. But that means you're conceding the point on Russia then, right? Like, does Mali border both of them? Hell yeah, thank God. I was not going to get it if Mali did not border both of them. Thank God. Thank God Mali bordered both of them. Thank God. Thank God. Thank the Lord. God, I need to confirm shit for the panel tomorrow. People aren't DMing me back. Okay. I support them if they got those grifters to show anti-US talking points in international news like Ukraine. Okay, awesome, dude. Phenomenal argument. Okay, well, I'm probably going to end stream. We'll read some of the Afghanistan stuff tomorrow after we finish reading the Kamala Harris issue thing, and then we'll watch the presidential debate. Be there for the presidential debate because not only I'm going to be watching it, but also I'm going to be doing a panel afterwards with Manar and maybe Sound Soul as well. So right now we have confirmed Manar and North, and potentially Sound Soul, and if I get Sound Soul, I probably want another conservative on there as well, which is it probably won't be conservative. It'll probably be Horseradish, who's not a really conservative, but he's a independent. CTV told me no because he goes to bed too early. Oh, we might get Gorps if Sound Soul agrees, but Sound Soul has to. Damn me, fucking back. Here's the reading for Combo tomorrow. True, Golden Snaky 07, brother. Okay, well we'll raid Pisco. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I appreciate everyone watching. I love streaming. Love that you guys watch me stream. If you guys want to go over to Twitch, !Twitch in the chat so I look better when I raid this person. Not420 on Twitch. That way you can do the raid. I don't care if you leave right after. I just have to. It's embarrassing to raid with 2 viewers, bro. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate everyone watching. I love streaming. Love that you guys watch me stream. Thank you guys so much. I will stream again tomorrow, like I said. God, we have 8 viewers on YouTube, guys. I need you to go to Twitch so you can do the raid. Okay, I need you on Twitch. I need you on Twitch for the raid. Okay, I can't do YouTube redirects until I reach the the fucking YouTube partner program, whatever shit. Okay, the link is in chat for the Twitch Okay, I need you guys. I need the non-fun fans to come through. I think she'll do if Trump brings up the criminal she fought in Supreme Court over. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know. I don't think most people care about that as much. Don't worry, 2 viewers old. That's why I'm telling the YouTube chatters to get their ass over to the Twitch chat. I mean, I will rate with 2 viewers. I don't care, but you have failed to rate, guys. Chat, pull through, chat. Now I should have rated it with 2. Now I only have 1. Well, Fawn, I see you gotta I forget about it pretty often. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't trust that Trump even knows it. I think Trump is gonna say, "She put black man in prison." What 15 black? Oh wait. Oh, you know what? Tulsi Gabbard was preparing him for the debate, though, right? Guys, I can't, guys, please go to Twitch. Guys, please go to Twitch. What are chances Trump just rambles about size and Civil War airports? Unfortunately, I think Kamala Harris was trying to get the mic mute removed, the mic muted rule removed, but they weren't able to do that. So, Trump won't be able to mess himself up by rambling and interjecting as much, unfortunately. Unfortunately. I never finished reading an article, so I don't know much about her being weaponized by the governor of California at the time. Yeah, I mean, it was bad. Yeah, the governor of California wanted her to stand up to the Supreme Court, and she did. She was almost held in contempt. The only reason she wasn't held in contempt was because the court thought that holding her in contempt would open up new litigation that would delay the release of the prisoners. That's the only reason she wasn't held in contempt. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Basically, yeah, she did like everything she possibly could to delay the release of those prisoners. And it's pretty bad. But it's not in the same universe as a lot of the things Trump has done. So, you know. It'd be a good reason to not vote for in the primaries potentially, but we don't really get that choice, do we? Do we now? All right, now I can raid. Hell yeah! Thank you guys for coming. All right, again, thanks for streaming. Thanks everyone for stopping by. I love streaming. Love you guys. Does he ever explain elaborate? Right? She responded to one memo that was leaked. Oh, did everyone just leave again? Oh my god. She responded to one memo that got... Oh, thank you, Headless Chicken, for the follow. I appreciate it. Thank you. Welcome to the stream. She responded to one memo that got leaked. All she said is she didn't know about it. Whether or not she didn't know about it is not actually relevant because the arguments that were made in the memo are virtually identical to the other arguments she was making against the release of the prisoners. So she has not really elaborated on the whole shenanigans. She's only elaborated on these one specific memo that got leaked in like 2014. But yeah, there was another thing she did bad as well, which was the prosecution of Justice Truelove, who turned out to be innocent. Her DA probably did a bad job. Hey, I came from Fisco. He was commenting about the one raider. My YouTube chat will not support me and come over to my Twitch just so I can raid. I'm small street. Listen, I average like 6 viewers, but whenever I read shit, they all leave, which is understandable. I'm coming. I never hit start raid. Why would it raid it? You are already raid. Oh, I guess I don't know. I've somehow broke it. All right, well, whatever. I just raided it. Okay, I fall